like that.
What?
I like that. It sounds right. It feels good.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
What's radio's favorite couple?
It means like friends.
Couple doesn't mean friends.
Well,
and that shouldn't even be friends. It should be like duo, maybe. Like co-host. Like two people that host the show together. That should be the...
Couple works.
I think a co-host should be the beginning, middle, and end of the relationship, I feel like.
Nah, we're pals. We're chums.
No, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what... There's a little kid, a cute little kid in a movie that Derek looks like with his hair like that.
I wish it was Gage in Pet Sematary.
I don't think it... I mean, it looks adorable is what I'm telling you, Derek. You have movie star good looks. Like a child movie star, but still. It works.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe... I want to say it's the little kid from It, but I might not be.
I don't remember the little kid. By the way, I hear that the little kid, the new It, is supposed to look pretty creepy.
It does.
But have they showed the new clown yet, or no?
Yeah, there's at least photos. There might be a trailer that came out like last week.
I heard last weekend. Okay, because that's him?
I don't know for sure.
Is he going to be too creepy looking? Because why would this stay up?
No, this is not it.
I never pictured the clown to act like, what's his name did, Tim Curry. I always pictured him to be kind of a more normal-looking clown.
See, this is your problem. You and these people that read your books, you come up with these ideas that aren't just spoon-fed to you, and all you do is get disappointed. The trick is, let them spoon-feed it. Let them give you the visual and everything, and condense it into just a few hours, and you're good.
Yeah, reading it first is never good, but I mean, again, I read it when it's one of the first books I've read beginning to end as an adult. It was I read this in '87.
Oh, I was about to say.
No, not like, I mean,
very recently I decided to start reading books again.
I read this in '87 in the Caldor receiving room. We were getting all these books in, and I had never read a Stephen King book. I'm like, let me just look at this.
Yeah.
And one page in, it was great. It was a fucking great book.
Plus, there's always something too. You probably enjoyed it even more because when you're working one of those jobs, you were at work, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
When you're working one of those jobs and that's your thing, like you're like, oh, yeah, work sucks, but I'm going to get to go and I'm just going to read this book the whole time.
Yeah.
It becomes fun.
When you were waiting for a shipment, anyone who works in shipping and receiving in a warehouse, you know, some of the best time is waiting for the trucks when there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
And we got a truck coming, and you know you got like an hour and a half before the truck gets there, or the truck is late.
Yeah.
Hey, where's A. Dewey Pile? They're not going to make it. Oh, good.
It was always the worst because I worked at. You ever heard of Smith and Hawken?
No.
They're like a lawn furniture and type place. And so I worked for a summer on the loading dock, unloading the truck, building the furniture, all that stuff. And it was heavy too. I mean, it's like 50-pound chairs. But that's right, Adrian. But it was always the worst when like the truck was late. So you get happy because you'd be like, oh, I can just kind of fuck around until the truck gets here. And then the manager would be like, oh, the truck's late. Don't worry, there's some chairs in the back room for you to build in the meantime. And you'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when there was other stuff to do, it sucked.
Yeah. There's more work to do? No. This is the slack off time. But it's always, you probably enjoyed it that much more because it was your thing you got to do instead of working.
Yeah, but it was a retail store. Caldor had so many, there was always things to do.
But you could but there was enough people employed there that you could just shirk your responsibilities?
Well, the warehouse, you know, when you were in shipping and receiving, there wasn't a whole lot of other stuff that you had to do.
Yeah.
There was always something you could do, like if someone walked in, you'd be like, hey, why aren't you out on the floor helping? You know, there's always a thing you could do, or you could always unstack and stack shelves, or there was things to count, or there's always something to fucking count in retail, because half the employees are stealing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many employees got busted stealing from that place.
Really?
Oh my God, the guy that worked in the kitchen, housewares department, in all these sinks, he was a really good-looking guy.
What was he stealing?
I don't know. I think he was just setting up phony orders in a way. There was like they always get scams going. It's probably harder to do now than it was in 1987, 88.
I was working at Sam Goody, and it was probably, I don't know, 2003-ish, 2003, 2004 maybe. And there was one guy that worked with us who was like a skater kid. One person that worked there who was into skateboarding. And I worked there for the summer. It was all fun and everything. And I came back like I went back to college and then I came back in at Christmas or whatever, and I was like, oh, where's so and so? And they were like, oh, you didn't hear? He got pulled out in handcuffs. And I was like, why? And they said they found out he had been doing thousands of dollars in false returns. And the reason they found out was because they went through all the false return slips, and they found like Tony Hawk and Bucky Lasek and just famous skateboarders from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, just the skateboarders that are in the video game, and they were like, there's only one person that would have done this. Yeah.
What a dope.
He just put all his favorite skateboarders as the names on the returns.
He put his signature on it.
Yeah, and they were like, wait, we'll just put together all the famous skateboarders, and look at this. This actually adds up to the amount of money we're missing. And it was him.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's not smart.
So he got fired and arrested.
It's the worst when they take you out in cuffs, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's the job. That, by the way, one of those jobs, not that same one, but that a pergament job where I was in the warehouse. That was the one where we had the security guy. That was a big store. It was in North Brunswick. I think it's now a Toys R Us. If you go to, if you're on Route 1 in North Brunswick. And it's...
add this to the Jimmy Norton Star Tours.
This is the Star Tour, yes. This is where the pergament used to be.
Yeah.
And he was a security guard who would smoke unfiltered cigarettes. Did I ever tell you about him?
I don't remember.
And he was the best. He would just stand out there smoking like fucking Camel unfiltered. And he would stand outside and talk about the cashiers, the girls, and he'd go, look at her. I'd like to fuck her in the cunt mouth and ass. He was the first guy I ever heard say that.
What a dirtbag.
He was such a dirty fucking guy. I want to fuck, his name is Bob. I want to fuck her in the cunt mouth and ass. And he wound up getting fired because around Christmas rush, he couldn't handle it anymore. And I was like, where's Bob? And they fired him because he was standing outside where he could see the cashiers, and he's in the middle of Christmas rush, and he pulls his dick out, and he's showing his dick to the cashiers from outside.
Oh, he's harmless. It's just words.
I loved him. He fucking pulled his hog out, but it was outside of Pergament through the window during store hours, showing the girls online.
And is he thinking that because there's glass in between them, he's saved? Did he
I think he was drunk.
Mind?
Blackberry brandy, I think. I think he would tip a little back. I think he just got loaded and probably misread the signal. Because there was one cashier who would flirt.
Where did he want to insert himself into
He
them?
wanted to fuck her in the cunt mouth and ass.
Oh, I see.
That was how he said it. And there was one she was a black girl. She was very sexy there. And she and I wound up hooking up a little bit and fooling around.
Hey.
And she touched me. They used to call me Toast. That was when they called me Toast.
Why'd they call you Toast?
It was because when I worked for Pergament the first time,
yeah,
I would leave for lunch and come back stoned. So the manager was like, "Hey, he's toasted," and the name just morphed into Toast.
You were like a guy with a weed nickname.
It wasn't. I didn't make it up.
Here you go. You're like that's like a bad 80s teen movie.
Yeah, it was in the 80s.
Just ask Toast.
Yeah.
What does Toast think? Oh, big surprise, Toast isn't here for the pop quiz.
They used to page me like that. Toast, come to the front. That was my name for a while.
Bro, my paper's upside down.
I was toasted.
Yeah, I know. Old Toast. Did you have board shorts and a tank top on?
No, I wasn't a fucking 60s, like a California Baja surfer. I was just a high kid who lived with his mom and dad.
Backward neon hat. You're like Chainsaw in summer school.
No, that was I was actually I was a little rap boy, little rap listener to her.
But you were named Toast?
Yes, I was. And I remember she was rubbing my dick, and she goes, "Damn, Toast, you holding."
Oh, that had to make you feel good.
Oh my God, it did, yeah.
Wow. Toast was holding, huh?
Toast was I never heard a girl say that, you holding.
Did you ever hear a girl say that again?
No.
No, that was the one time.
Yeah, it was such a good expression.
That was just in Toast's life.
Yeah. It was like those weird little sexual, again, so many of those things that get you fired today, but those weird sexually charged kind of flirts you have when you work in retail, like when you see each other in the back.
Yeah.
In Caldor, there was one who I would hug. I still remember her to this day. She was cute. She had a Buffalo accent from upstate New York, and I would see her like in the. She worked in like ladies' wear, and if I had to deliver stuff to the ladies' wear stock room, because each department had their own stock room, and I would see her, and a couple of times we just kind of hug. in the stock room, and I would just like press my erection against her. It was,
What?
we were flirting, but
That's not flirting.
But she would
Sexual
never
assault.
No, we would hug. She would do it too. It wasn't me making her do it. She was into it. And then there was one girl who worked. She was like an assistant manager. She was one step above the floor department managers. And I took her home. We were doing inventory, and she came over on lunch break one time.
Did you go home with toast yesterday?
I wasn't toasting this job.
Oh.
I was just Jim. I was a mature young man.
Oh, I see.
And she was, I went down on her, and she was wearing stockings all day. And her breath was weird. It smelled like corn. Like when we kissed, she tasted like a kernel of corn. It was terrible. And I went down on her, and it's the worst experience I've ever had.
Why?
It just was horrible. I remember starting and then having to lean over the side of the bed and go like I thought I was going to vomit. I finished my duty. I did my duty. I finished my job.
Good for you. Well, you're a soldier.
But you never go down on someone after inventory. That's a long day.
Is that the life lesson to take from that?
Don't give head to a woman after inventory and stockings.
Especially with corn breath.
Corn. Yeah, I should have known. It was awful.
Spent her lunch breaks with her canned corn.
I don't know what she was eating. It was just a weird. She was just not a hygienic.
Ugh.
Like none of it was as sexy as I thought it would be.
It's disgusting.
Yeah. That ended the flirting with her.
But that's what happens. I think it still happens to these retail jobs. When you get a bunch of young people and you put them all together in these shitty jobs that they don't care about,
yeah,
their interpersonal relationships are what's going to entertain them.
Yeah, especially when one is wild and called Toast.
Yeah, well, when Toast works there, like, Toast is late, but we don't hold it against him.
Yeah, we understand.
Toast is here.
I told you that was the third day on my job. On that job, I called in sick. Because I'm like, they're not going to get mad at me because no one would call in sick the third day.
Thinking that like
really
I must be
sick.
real. Yeah.
No one would do this. I was using that psychology on myself.
Did it work?
No, they were furious.
They knew exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, they didn't fire me, but that was the same. Thank God they did. I would have missed out on the guy pulling his dick out.
They decided to hire a lazy bum.
I want to fuck her in that cunt mouth and ass. It's the dirtiest thing I've ever heard anyone because he meant it.
Toast tried to get the day off.
Yeah, Toast was tired.
Classic Toast.
Classic toast. Yeah, that's Toast for you. He's only been here for 3 days, but I think we all know who Toast really is. I tried I ended up with 2 jobs one summer, and I just worked all the time because I got the Smith and Hawken job, and then I had applied at a movie theater too, and the movie theater accepted me as well, but I wanted to avoid confrontation, so I just decided not to show up on the first day, and I was like, if I just don't go, then I'll just work at Smith and Hawken because they pay more, and then I just won't go to the movie theater job, and they'll just get it. And they'll just hire somebody else.
Why'd you apply?
Because at the time, I was applying to a bunch of different jobs.
When he got one and the second one
Right.
came and he was too cowardly to say I already got one.
So I got.
Oh, okay. You didn't want 2 jobs.
No, I wanted one job.
Oh, okay. I thought you had one, and then you were like, let me get another.
No, I wanted one job, and then I wanted recreational time. But with 2 jobs, because they all had good hours, I would not have the proper amount of recreational time.
Right.
So I said I'll spend my recreational time. I just won't go. It was like Friday night, so I'm sure they really needed me at this movie theater. But I was like, it's my first day. If I don't show up on the first day,
They'll just write you off.
Yeah. And so like they called me, and I just was like, don't worry about it. And then they called again, and like they called my house, so my parents picked up, and I called them back, and I was like, Oh no! Nobody told me that it was the first day today. Nobody had told me, and they were like, "Okay, well, you can come in tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just worked 2 jobs.
Damn, what a weasel! You couldn't just quit the movie theater job.
I never quit. I just worked
You
2
don't
jobs.
legally have to go.
I know, but I worked 2 jobs all summer because I was too cowardice.
Cowardly. You didn't want to tell them that that you just got on the gig.
Yeah, I was like, well, I got another gig, and they were like, that's okay, the hours are flexible, and I was like, okay, well, I can. They were like, well, when is the other gig? And I was like, well, it's 5 days a week. It's during the day, and they were like, okay, well, we'll put you on for weekends and like 2 or 3 nights a week, and I was like, okay.
Why would you say 5 days a week during the day? It's a movie theater. You're trying to get out of it. You should have said, yeah, but there's a lot of times weekend hours and fluctuating hours. We have to come in at night. What's wrong with you?
I was truthful.
Yeah, 9 to 5 during the day. Oh, that's perfect. That won't interfere with your movie job at all on the weekends.
Yeah, luckily, then we'll just bring you on for the busy times.
Did you ever get to love doing the movie theater?
No, I didn't love it at all.
You worked the whole summer? I told you I saw Hot Dog at the movie theater. He worked at that one I went to on 84th Street.
Well, I'll tell you, though, to this day, when I go to the movies, because I like going to the movie theater still, I clean up after myself. I don't leave the popcorn and shit in my seat.
Oh, really?
Because I had to do that.
In between movies, you have to go in and clean the whole thing. Would you
Yeah.
sweep too?
Yeah, I'd have to sweep the theaters and
Do you
clean
ever find
up.
cum on the seat?
No, but they would tell me, like, I never caught anybody in the act, but they would show me all the places that I had to check because they'd caught people giving blowjobs and stuff. Like, they were like, it was like a really old movie theater. So there were back staircases in the theaters. So you had to walk back there because people used to like to go and blow each other back there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I don't think I've ever hooked up in a movie theater. No, never had a sexual experience. I remember I didn't know the rules that Ben had, though. And me and my buddy Malcolm, who was like a dude from Pergament, went to a movie. There was a couple of us that went. And it was like an empty theater during the day. And I didn't know that you weren't supposed to sit next to your friend. So like he sat down and I sat right next to him. He's like, yo, man, we got to leave a homo seat. And then you moved over one. I was like,
You didn't
homo
realize
seat. No.
you were sitting in the homo seat.
I really was. I just sat in the empty seat next to him. I didn't know.
He was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he was not happy.
I would have been so humiliated. I sat last week when
I
I went
wanted to be cool around him. I was embarrassed.
I went to see Get Out with X-Pac, and there was no homo seat. I can't imagine how embarrassed I'd be if X-Pac was like, Sam, what are you doing? You got to leave a homo seat.
Yeah, that was a little silly. You don't have to.
Back then you did, I guess.
Yeah, it's more room. It's probably better if there's...
A seat in between you?
Yeah, you got more room.
Yeah, but you can't whisper your opinions on the film or whatever you're thinking to each other.
Yeah, sometimes I like to be next to somebody, especially during a horror film. If I'm frightened.
And just grab them.
I still want to see Get Out. I haven't gone.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's still in theaters.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to... the best job at the movie theater was making sure that no kids got into R-rated movies, because then you could just stand at the door and watch the movie and just make sure no kids snuck in, but really you were just watching the movie.
What did you see?
Harold and Kumar, like the sequel. Like it wasn't a good one. It was the second Harold and Kumar movie.
Oh.
But still, it was dope. And that was the summer the Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington came out.
It was Summer of Sam.
Well, I mean, I was working all the time, so it was exactly the summer of Sam.
Yeah, Sam.
I had 2 jobs. I was building lawn furniture during the day and working at a rundown movie theater at night.
Did you ever grow to love the movie theater job?
No, I had to sweep up. Multiple times I had to sweep up mice out of the projection room because they would just find like dead mice, and the manager would be like, there's a Sam, go sweep it up. And I have to sweep that up. We also I figured out too how to get snacks at the movie theater, like when to get popcorn.
Just go to the men's room.
When to not get popcorn. Because we had
Oh, you weren't allowed to just eat it?
No. I mean, now I know. Based on how the food is treated.
Oh.
Because...
You wouldn't eat it?
No, I'll eat it now, but I'll look at when it's popping and I'll be like, can you give it to me? Or like on a Sunday morning, don't bother getting popcorn because that's Saturday night's popcorn.
They leave it overnight?
Yeah, like we would on Saturday night, we would pop a bunch and then put it in these big yellow garbage bags. And we just put the yellow garbage bags up on the counter. And then whoever was opening would just dump those yellow garbage bags into the heated containers where you see the popcorn to scoop it out of.
Right.
So it's a heated container, so you think it's warm. So you're like, oh, it must just be pop, but that was from the night before.
Why wouldn't they just pop it?
Well, because we didn't want to bother. Like, we were like, we'll just leave it. We're not going to waste popcorn. We're not going to throw it out. We'll just feed it to the people tomorrow. Plus, we had mice in that theater. So mice can definitely get through yellow plastic bags.
So you think the mice ever got into the popcorn?
Well, our storage place where we kept the candy, like, our crack system was stuff on the bottom shelf you don't touch because the mice eat that. But stuff on the top shelf, and the shelves are separated by 1 foot. Stuff on the top shelf is fine.
Right.
So the stuff that everybody ate was on the top shelf, but on the bottom shelf, all the candy had little holes in the boxes, and there was mice droppings.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But 12 inches above that was fine, and that was snow caps for everybody.
Well, maybe the mice couldn't get to it that high up.
I'm sure they could.
Probably.
They're really, really dexterous.
Yeah, they're good little climbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I tell you when I worked for a copper company, I unloaded copper trucks, and my boss, I saw a prostitute in the back that I knew.
No.
Her name was Pam. She was just a regular girl from New Brunswick who would walk around not hot. And I hooked up with her a bunch of times. So I saw her walking by, and I took her to my job. And I think she blew me at my job during the day. And my boss wanted some. His name was I don't know what's his name, but he was an older guy, just a big old fatter guy. And I was like, all right, man. And so I saw him Monday. She blew him Friday afternoon. And he's like, Jim, she took my wallet. Like, he left his fucking wallet in his pocket. And I had warned him, take your wallet out of your pocket. Because you never, when you're pulling your pants around your ankles to get blown, you never leave your wallet in your pocket. And she had knelt on the floor and fucking popped his wallet out. And he's just I'll never forget that. She took my wallet.
Did you realize that you were working for a sap at that point?
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but I told you, these girls.
You gotta watch your shit. They're not there for romance.
And yeah, even ones I knew for a while, I caught them trying to go through my pockets. That's what they do.
You did?
Yes.
You had like a relationship with them to some extent. You
know them a little bit. Yeah. And I would have the pants with the fucking pockets in the front, like on the like by the knees, those like painter pants pockets, but they had like a Velcro.
Like cargo pants.
Cargo pants, yeah. And, you'd have to keep your wallet in there because you could hear them opening that one.
Right.
That was a sealed pocket. It was hard for them to do that unless they were fucking magician thieves.
Would you catch them trying?
Yeah, a couple of times just fumbling around, and I would grab her hand, like, yeah, play with my ball. Like, I wouldn't call them out, but, we both knew, like, no.
Yeah, I caught you.
Yeah, cut that out.
But you didn't want her to stop her services.
No, the services were good.
Right. That makes sense.
Unless she was, except for the one girl who I would always see walking around, and she was eating peanut brittle. And after she got out of my car, I saw I had like a little bit of peanut brittle in my pubes. Because she had some, I guess, in her mouth. It wasn't that bad. It was just uncomfortable.
Every time every time I know who it was at each job too. Every time I had one of those jobs, I would always like in the beginning of my time there know like who I wanted to be my girlfriend, like who eventually we would start talking and everything. And you know how many people I actually dated from work?
4 or 5?
0.
0?
Yeah, 0.
Did any of them like you?
Oh boy, I'm screwed. I don't know. We never even got to that point.
You just fantasized about being a boyfriend?
Yeah, I just think about how we were going to date, but then I would never do anything that would lead us in that direction. Ever. Just be friends. And then I'd meet their boyfriends or something.
Of course.
Every time.
I talked to someone recently. She was so pretty. And I was just chatting with her. It was a weird place. I was not a place I normally was. And talking for a while, and I'm like, fuck. Mm-hmm. And then, my boyfriend was just put that out in the fucking beginning.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have any interest in connecting with you otherwise.
Mention that early.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that they do that, though? Because they know that, like, we're having a good conversation here. We're kind of connecting. I don't want to lead him astray.
That's exactly why they do it. They could see we're connecting eyes.
Yeah.
And they know, no, we're not. Yeah. I'm being polite because we're working together. You asshole.
Yeah. I just happen to be a good conversationalist. I would have this conversation with anybody.
Hey, Travis Dog. Oof.
What?
Birthday boy, what did you do before you got into radio? And what have you done since you've gotten here?
I worked at Burger King when I was a teenager.
Oh, I love your Burger King stories.
I worked at a daycare where my mom worked.
Ironic.
Yeah.
Look at all these kids.
What was it called? And I don't what?
Yeah. Oh. I think maybe you might have picked up on some of the daycare lessons a little better than your mom did.
That's right. It was a day could care less. Okay, what'd you do at a daycare?
Daycare or don't care?
I don't care. I don't care.
I worked after school, like just watching the kids for 3 hours. Like from like 3 to 6. Not the teachers, but like the older people who were there from like 8 to 3 left, and it was really just high school kids watching over, toddlers to kindergarten kids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we got we had guests today and a bunch of stories to cover. I want to ask, this guy wants to ask a question about a Netflix special, which yes, Will in Manhattan, and maybe one of you guys did see it. Hello?
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, buddy.
Tim, what's up?
Hello?
How's it going? I just wanted to know if you guys if you caught the Chappelle special.
I did not.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but I've only heard. I think there's 2 of them up, right?
Yeah,
I've only heard really good things.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hilarious. Are there 2 new ones, or is one new and one old?
No, it's 2 brand new ones.
No,
Oh, it is.
2 new ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one he had shot. I heard he had shot prior. He had shot before.
He shot Pryor?
Oh no, not Richard. Aaron Pryor, the boxer.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I mean they weren't just shot. I don't think.
No, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but they're brand new in the sense that nobody's seen them.
No one see. I wonder why he did that. Did he do one on his own and then just not decide what he wanted to do with it and have it?
It was done on GoPro. Oh. He just had a GoPro in the crowd, and they're putting it on Netflix now.
But you wonder, did Netflix shoot it or did he shoot one independently and then go, I have one that hasn't come out? Because one, I think, Netflix didn't shoot.
Yeah, I have no idea, but my assumption is that he just shot a couple specials and didn't really know what to do with them, and maybe didn't aggressively fight to get him on TV or
That's
whatever.
what I'm guessing too, because isn't his deal for like 4, and he's still going to do 2 more that haven't even,
I heard 3. It might be
3.
4.
It might be 3.
And what's the? Okay, Will, did you enjoy it? I'm sure it was great.
Yeah, no, it was fucking hilarious, man. Yeah, I was just curious if you guys saw it, but
The trailer
it was
looks
great.
great.
It was great. He's,
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, he is great.
guys.
Thanks
I'm
for the
looking
call.
forward to it.
Yeah, Dave he's just a funny motherfucker, man.
Comics like it. That's what I saw. Like a lot of comics were tweeting about the fact that it was up and everything.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. It's funny, like, you would see him over the years pop in and out and, come into the cellar. But he always came in after I left because Dave, when he goes on to the Comedy Cellar. I'm usually out of there by 10. And Dave, a lot of times, like, yeah, you talk to the staff, like, how you doing? Chappelle came in. And you're like, oh, okay. And like, how much time did he do? 3 hours?
Yeah, they're exhausted.
Yeah, but he keeps people there. I mean, he's just a naturally easy guy to listen to.
He's got all kinds of weird premises. I was listening to his interview that he did for CBS this morning with Gayle King, and what he's doing now is like he rents out a barn, and he gets a whole bunch of people to come, and it's like part comedy, part DJ, part concert, like just this whole. He just wants to create this party environment where everybody just comes and has a good time.
Oh, okay.
So, which is not dissimilar from when he did the Block Party thing. I don't know if he performed comedy at Block Party, but he made a movie out of it. The Block Party that he did.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude, man. I'd say the most interesting concepts as a comedian I've ever seen was JB Smoove. JB on stage, the shit that he comes up with as far as conceptually what he's going to talk about, he's really brilliant and creative.
In the sense that you don't know where he's going when he sets something up.
Just crazy. I again, it's been years, but I remember him doing some bit on how he wanted to do a show on people who save pennies. Or some weird thing. He just talked about pennies. He's just nuts. Like you heard him when he was in. He talked about Winnebagos for an hour.
Yeah. Isn't it funny too when there are some people like him that are just weirdly talented that can do that, and then you always see people that think that they can also talk about anything for hours, and they're just rambling.
Yeah, you have to know what you're good at.
Yeah.
And I've always said, as a storyteller, it's not my forte. I can tell a confined story. Mm-hmm. But I've always said that I'm not a great. On 9/11, if I was on the 92nd floor of the tower and I made it out, I would still lose people halfway through the story. People don't like my stories.
You start with the ending. So obviously I got out safe and it was scary. But we're at 9/11.
Yeah. I'm not a good storyteller.
Ridiculous.
Who's the other wrestler, by the way, that got her pictures taken? Another one.
Yeah.
Got leaked. But these are not even being hacked by hackers. Aren't they being leaked by people these people know?
I don't know. Because I guess there was another fappening.
Oh, was there? Okay.
Yeah, so nobody knows exactly where they're coming from.
Who's in this new fappening? I know the first one, the wrestler was somebody she knew that they said released it. Or is that not true? Was that taken by someone else?
No, we know it's for
Paige.
sure. Yeah. So
People said we should, by the way, someone said we should, why did we ask Paige, that girl, who's the girl who was in here? Flair's daughter?
Charlotte.
Why didn't we ask about Paige? I honest to God didn't think of it. It was just one of those things where we hadn't really talked about it much. Sam and I chatted before the show about Paige briefly, and it didn't occur to me.
Plus, what's she going to say, right? It has nothing to do with her, and it's just going to be some yeah, well, you got to be careful.
Yeah, I would have asked
It's
her,
a
but
sad
I didn't
thing.
think of it. It didn't even occur to me.
Yeah, so the other two people, it's in the Post this morning, so there were naked videos and stuff of Paige that came out, who's a current WWE wrestler, although she hasn't been on TV in a while. And then the other two, Maria and Caitlyn, are ex-WWE wrestlers.
Okay.
And yeah, the ones of Maria and Caitlyn, apparently, from what the thing says, are just nude selfies and
They're
stuff.
not hardcore sex acts?
Paige is rough.
Yeah.
Paige is full blown sex tapes, dildo stuff, like a lot of stuff.
I wonder if she's humiliated or if she doesn't care that much because she's like, hey, this is who I am. That was when her boyfriend was filmed her with the black wrestler, right? The other guy, what's his name?
Xavier Woods.
How do they know it's him? Is his face in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I think that it's not going well because her mom's been on Facebook talking about how terrible this is and how, she was even making references to Paige's mental health and that this isn't good. And, you read, like, I don't know, people, they always take this excuse where they go, well, if you don't want this stuff out there, then don't video yourself having sex. And it's like, you fucking nerd.
Who says that? Yeah.
That's people who want to not have sympathy for people. People who just want to be able to, like, push the stuff out there, retweet it, and
hey,
say,
don't have sex on film if you don't want it out there.
Yeah, because I'm pushing it out there, and this is your fault. And you're talking about, like, young, hot women who are sexual and have a camera in their pocket all the time. There's nothing wrong with filming yourself. You got a camera in your pocket all the time.
And that's also like
it's going to happen.
Hey, don't carry cash if you don't want to get robbed.
Right, exactly.
Is that what you'd say if someone stuck a gun in your face? Fucking
yeah, it's my fault. I shouldn't have carried cash.
Isn't it weird what shame is, man? Like this is because the only penalty for her right now is that she probably feels horribly embarrassed.
Yeah,
and is ashamed. It's like people get so shamed over just sexual shit. It's like, for what? Who cares?
But it's because
it is embarrassing though. But
yeah, look, when you
put a dildo in your box, good for you.
And
her ass too.
Well,
good for her.
And when
what a good girl.
And like people are tweeting extraordinarily vulgar photos to her mom.
Yeah, that's a little fucked up. To the mom. Then he has her mom on Twitter.
Her mom's a wrestler too. The whole family's wrestlers.
Oh boy, who's her mom?
She's not. She's a British wrestler.
She Moolah?
No, she's not the fabulous Moolah. The Rock is just like, and they're just making a movie about Paige too, about her family. The Rock it's like a big movie. The Rock is the executive producer of it, and because it's about her growing up in this family of wrestlers.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so you hope that. I don't think that this will affect any of
I hope
that,
not.
because it's 2017 at this point. Like, it's not like this is the type of stuff people do.
Because you get if you're in your private sex life, if all of a sudden your stuff comes out, if they stopped a movie over that, who's I'll go down a little bit top. Sat with my husband. He is sobbing. He can't even speak. I'm losing everything I love. The business we love will kill us. It seems. Who's that?
That's Paige's mom.
That is her mom. Is it about this?
Yeah,
the husband is crying over this? Her dad's crying over it?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah.
God damn.
And, all you can do is...
Tug your pecker.
What?
Oh.
No, that's not where we're going at all.
Misunderstood you.
Yeah. If people were just slightly cool about it and realize that this is a thing that people do, and you don't need to be like, well, it's your fault. It's nobody's fault. It's people have a phone. They like to film, like, everybody watches porn.
Yeah, nothing wrong. You don't even have to explain, like, why have I filmed myself doing this? There's nothing wrong with it. You're 100% justified to film yourself with you and your boyfriend having a threesome, or you playing with your pussy with a dildo, whatever it is you're doing. It's your business.
Yeah. Everybody's consensual.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a good time. But, it's all the people who want to have sex with Paige that are putting it out there. Like, all the wrestling fans, they're like, oh, I want to have sex with her. Well, if I'm not going to get to have sex with her, at least I can humiliate her.
Yeah, I don't mind. Look, of course, if I was a big Paige, I didn't even know who she was. I get why you'd look at it.
Charlotte was.
I get why you'd look at it. I mean, I'm not an idiot. It's she's a hot girl in this naked video.
I don't mind looking. I don't get.
But don't tweet it at her parents. It's like, you don't have to fucking hurt her family with it. Just jerk off all over yourself.
There's a difference.
Nothing wrong with putting a little cum on yourself. We all do it now and again. You know what I mean? Just put a little batch on your stomach and then nod to her and go, she's a good girl. And then stick up for her.
Right.
Like, you know what?
Well, go to sleep for a while. Let it harden in your belly button.
Let it harden in your belly button to make your friends sniff it. And then stick up for her and go, like, she's not a piece of shit. She's just a regular person. Like, don't try to humiliate her. If you've jerked off all over yourself and you've enjoyed it, and you have, and look, we've all done it. And you've looked at her and go like, wow, man, she's even hotter than I thought. But they're like, guys, don't fucking go after her parents.
Right.
Like, you're wrecking it.
Or,
don't make her feel bad about it.
People who push it forward, because it is a, like, huge invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, it always weirds me out when these sex tapes leak. And there are people who, instead of being like, oh, that's pretty fucked up that somebody would hack into somebody's phone and put their private shit out there. Instead of doing that, they go like, oh, can you believe people are videoing themselves having sex?
Like Pam and Tommy. When that got leaked, like, I didn't feel like there was maybe because it was a married couple and it was pretty normal sex. Everyone was like, hey, Tommy Lee has a big dick and Pam looks great naked. Like, neither of them really looked bad. That was what people talked about. Like, neither of them looked horrible. And but I watched it.
Yeah,
I couldn't wait to
too.
watch it. I mean, I tugged my wiener to it.
You did?
Yes!
Did you end up jerking off all over yourself?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
So I don't know. I get watching it, but and I even get like whatever telling people where to find it, but don't fucking. I mean, I'd be ignorant to say like I don't know why people would. I get it. I mean, if I was 21, I'd probably do that too.
What?
I would tell people, go check this out, like
Yeah.
But I would never, don't humiliate her mother with it.
Yeah. And I don't know, I retweeting it out and stuff. It's one thing to tell your buddy, like, oh, here it is, here's the thing, like, whatever. It is what it is. That's normal human behavior. But to have to be the guy who retweets it or puts it up or needs credit for being like, oh, I want the internet to know that I'm the guy who's helped. And
guys go to jail for this shit. They got the guy from the first one. And didn't he get like fucking 5 years in jail or something? 3 years? He did get jail. He's going to jail for it. I don't know how much time he got.
A few years like that.
Yeah. But it's like, you imagine you're in jail for 2.5 years of your life. That's not a fucking life sentence.
It was less than I thought he'd get.
Yeah. He got 18 months. Okay.
There may be more for this one because I haven't seen all of it. I haven't seen the photos, but I have gotten tweets that there are rumors that one of the photos does involve ejaculate on the championship belt.
What?
Travis. Why are you laughing?
Just go through Eric's phone, I'm sure. Find the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Wow.
So, but again, it's like, I don't know. And I wish the women involved in these things could feel better about just being like, yeah, I'm a sexual person. This is what I do.
That's what I feel bad
in
about.
Private. Like, do you guys not realize that I'm like, I fuck? Like,
yeah.
You guys do too, right?
That's the problem. It's like this dumb shame thing. Like, that's what I realize. That's what everyone's afraid of. When all is said and done, almost everything that we avoid, every fight we have, every argument, it's about being ashamed or humiliated. Avoiding that feeling of public humiliation is like, it's so fucking devastating.
Why is it that when like a woman gets pregnant or a couple has a kid, it's like this beautiful thing and everybody comes around and celebrates it and you guys are wonderful together. But if a sex tape came out of that woman having sex with the person that she's in a relationship with, it'd be like this horrible, scandalous thing. Like, that's the reason the kid is there, because there was some fucking that happened. Right? Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
There's unprotected sex, and then a kid comes. But for some reason, we can look at the result and be like, oh, this is precious. This is an angel. This is something that, societally we should all admire. But if we actually saw the making of, we'd go, oh, can you believe that they're doing that?
But wait a minute. Someone on Twitter, Adam Cartwright, is saying, Paige needs to ignore it. The more she apologizes or tries to say we're going to sue anyone who shares this makes it worse. I get wanting to sue people, but why would she apologize?
Sue everybody.
She has nothing to apologize for. She should absolutely not apologize unless it was someone in her, like someone in her camp, quote unquote, who leaked it. Like, but if it was stolen from her and hacked, she should absolutely not say she's sorry once.
It hasn't. She hasn't said much. She tweeted out like one thing or something about her privacy being broken or whatever.
Yeah, that's sad.
But
it doesn't make me think any less of her. And everyone should look at her and just and say, hey, good for you.
Right.
You're a fucking fun. What a good egg.
And poor Xavier Woods is like in this big spot in WWE now.
Who is he?
He's the guy who's in the video.
No, but who is he in WWE?
He's in the New Day.
Okay.
But they're like, they're very sort of kid-friendly and mainstream. Like, they're one of the top merchandise sellers. They're on every show. Like, they're a huge part of the story, him and his group.
All right, well, all he's doing is having sex with a person, having a consensual sexual encounter, right?
It was funny. On Raw this week, it was Xavier Woods and his two partners, and they were smart. They didn't have him do it in front of a live crowd. They did a pre-tape backstage because they knew the crowd is just going to, this is all they're going to chant about. So they do it backstage, and they're all just kind of looking around, like looking down at the ground, like obviously we know what everybody's talking about. And his two tag team partners are looking at him, and they're like, "So, Woods, is there anything you want to talk about?" And Xavier Woods goes, "Well, yeah, I guess we should just go ahead and talk about WrestleMania is coming up and blah, blah, blah." So there was this like
Okay, so they acknowledge
subtle, very, very subtle
Good.
acknowledgement of,
We know something's happening, and this is what it is.
but let's move forward because we're doing this.
All right, we're gonna break. It's 8:40. We have a busy show today.
And yes, what I'm telling you is, when you see my child, think of my child as a sex tape between my wife and I.
I will.
Thank you.
That's why I want to go up and there see him. I'm going to look at him. I'm and I'm going to look at her. I'm going to look at him. I'm going to go, I know what happened here.
Exactly. Exactly.
We have Kristen Bell coming in a little later, and coming in shortly, Taylor Hackford, who directed The Comedian. He directed Ray. He directed Devil's Advocate, Officer and a Gentleman. I love this guy.
That's right.
I'm really happy.
And he directed Helen Mirren down the aisle.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Very clever. That was a very show-busy way of saying it.
Thank you.
And he really, he made this, the opening to my special really was helped happen by him.
Yeah,
It would
I'm
never have happened if not for him.
I really want to talk to him not only about that, I want to talk to him about his Chuck Berry documentary, because he spent a lot of time with Chuck Berry.
Yeah, he did.
And his thing with and Ray and Jamie Foxx, and so much to talk to him about.
Yeah. He's a good he's a good talker. He's a fun guy. All right, we'll be back shortly. We're gonna eat, make love, and be right back. We're back on the radio. I keep hitting that stupid thing when I'm moving my hand, like I was going to pick up a pen in the break, and I wound up hitting the.
What, did you hit the longest one?
I don't know. I didn't mean to.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Taylor Hackford is here. I'm really looking forward to talking to him. I haven't seen him in a while.
By the way, how stupid are all you guys going to feel already having iPhones when I show up with the new red one?
Is there a new red iPhone?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Lackluster response. It's just the same phone, but red.
That's my wife saw it yesterday. She's like, I need that. I'm like, it's the same phone you have.
I might get the red one.
Yeah, or just give her the regular one and then make her bleed on it.
Welcome, Taylor
Hello,
Hackford.
Taylor.
Hey,
How's it going?
How you doing?
Sit down.
want you put these on?
Yes.
Sure. Let me make sure I have your mic on too. I'm very unprofessional at this. I always forget to turn somebody on. Okay.
But what's great is that you always
All right,
vocalize what
one.
you're doing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We were talking, I guess, Chuck Berry we should start with. I forgot you did a Chuck Berry. I had asked you to come in for a while because I wanted to just talk to you. And I forgot you did a Chuck Berry documentary.
Oh yeah, it was one of those life experiences.
And what was the purpose of it? Was it just for an anniversary?
Yeah, Chuck's 60th birthday. There was a movement. Well, actually started with a woman named Stephanie Bennett who wanted to put together a film. She did music films. And they came to me, Chuck actually came to me and invited me to be the director of this, quote, his documentary.
Did you know him before?
No, but I mean, he was one of my main men. I mean, I grew up to Chuck Berry.
Do you have any idea what it was that you did? Because you've done a lot. Like, what of your films he made it so that he picked you as his guy?
He talked to me about Officer and a Gentleman. He talked to me about. I mean, it was funny. Actually, I started in public television, and I used to do rock and roll in public television. So he'd actually seen some of those things on KCET. Chuck jumped in between St. Louis and L.A., and he liked to pride himself by saying he had the only 1 acre circular lot in all of Los Angeles in Hollywood, and he did. But I was quite surprised. It was great that he gave me a call, and we flew to St. Louis to meet him. And the other thing that was enticement was that Keith Richards was going to be the music director.
Wow.
And of course, with the Rolling Stones, you know that they love Chuck Berry. They basically played Chuck Berry at the beginning of their career, which I knew. And I thought, perfect. I mean, what could be better?
Plus, it's just like a fan. You now get to work with Chuck Berry and Keith Richards.
Yeah, but I got to tell you something. I didn't know what was going to happen. But when you make documentaries, and I started doing that in my career at public television. First documentary I ever made was on Charles Bukowski, who was a great LA poet.
Didn't you win an Oscar for a documentary in?
No, I won an Oscar for Best Dramatic Short.
Oh, in '79, right?
Yeah, but you know when you're doing a documentary, especially a portrait documentary, that if you get somebody boring, the film's going to be boring. It's just a matter of course. And Charles Bukowski, which I called Hank, was anything but boring, and it turned out to be an amazing film. So I knew going in Chuck Berry's reputation.
What was his reputation? Was it good?
Oh, it's the bad. He was the bad boy of rock and roll. I mean, seriously, everybody in rock and roll wants to say, I'm a rebel. I'm, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, Chuck Berry defined it. I mean, he went to jail 3 times. The first one when he was 18 years old for stealing a car, and of course, then he was in jail for the Mann Act, which is taking an underage girl across state border for illicit purposes.
Yeah, wasn't he like 35 or something? And she was 14. We were just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is,
back then that was rock and
roll. It
roll.
wasn't as crazy then to do that.
Well, it was. Chuck was always
trying to justify it.
Now, the one thing about Chuck, he never did drugs, not that I know of, ever. Nor did I ever see him drink. But sex, he made up for all those other two with it. He was a definite sex addict.
He's definitely a bit of a pervert.
Exactly. But in any event, I knew that if I turned the camera on Chuck Berry, there was going to be something interesting happening. And there's a lot of, like I said, you do a lot of analysis when you think about doing a film. And I knew, first of all, he was incredibly important to me and to everybody else in music, because he was the really the greatest creative force in rock and roll at the beginning. And I used this film, by the way, to bring in all the fathers of rock and roll, all the people who really started it. The only person I didn't have was Fats Domino. But over the course of this film, I interviewed all these people because they would talk about Chuck Berry, and it was undeniable. He was the best. So I had Little Richard, Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Everly Brothers, Roy Orbison. I had Willie Dixon. I had Sam Phillips from Sun Records, and Ahmet Ertegun.
Did they all like Chuck Berry, or did they just know that he was the best?
They all knew him. They'd all been stung, at various times by the scorpion.
Oh, really?
Believe me, Chuck was thorny to the nth degree. But they all had to admit, this is a guy who, developed the rock and roll guitar. I mean, he played the licks that every single guitar player has to play if they're going to play rock and roll. He invented them. He had a great performance style. He was unbelievably brilliant on stage and good looking. He was the brown-eyed, handsome man. And beyond that, and most importantly, he was the first great songwriter in rock and roll. And these are all things that I knew. I mean, I taught a history of rock and roll class at USC when I was there. It is, if you care about the music, Chuck Berry was the defining moment in early rock and roll. Elvis is really important, of course, because he was very talented and he was beautiful and all that stuff. And he got, rock and roll in white teenagers' bedrooms. But he didn't write his stuff. Chuck Berry did it all, and brilliantly. And so anybody that really cared, I knew I could invite, and they'd be in this film.
Yeah, when you got someone like that people all want to talk about.
How would he sting people, though?
Well, I got lots of stories. Chuck was a guy. Listen, every black blues player or rock and roller from the beginning got ripped off. Every white one got ripped off. I mean, you're a kid from working class background, and all you want to do is get out there and play your music, and someone says, hey, okay, and then all of a sudden people come. At the very beginning, they're going to be taken advantage of by promoters, by publishers, by a whole myriad of hustlers. And that happened to Chuck Berry on his first song, Maybelline. He went up to Chicago. He loved Muddy Waters. He visited Muddy Waters, and Muddy Waters said, go to Chess Records. And Phil and Leonard Chess, who had Chess Records, a very important label in Chicago, and they started a liquor store, then they had a bar, and they recorded in the black part of town. They recorded a lot of black artists and made a lot of money. So Chuck goes in and gets Maybelline. Willie Dixon was the session, he was the bass player, producer at Chess, and they did this great record. And then Chuck looks at the label, and he'd written it, right? On the label it said Alan Freed Chuck Berry, Alan Freed, and a guy named Russ Freitas, who was the guy in the pressing plant that pressed Chess Records. So Leonard Chess had basically bought off. This is the way that you did business in those days. Alan Freed was a great disc jockey from Cleveland, and he really coined the phrase rock and roll. But, you had to give him stuff. And I made a film called Ray, and you see, Jerry Wexler literally paying Alan Freed to put records on the air. That's what you did. It was later called payola.
Payola, yeah, it's illegal now too.
Yeah. But that was the way the business worked. So Chuck learned very early that his first hit song, he was splitting publishing royalties with two guys he'd never met.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with it.
No. However, we all have been ripped off, in this business by unscrupulous people when we first in. And Chuck's line is, fool me once, it's your fault. Fool me twice, it's my fault. And that's true. And that's the attitude that you have to have in this business. And Chuck did. So I look at it this way. Chuck was taken advantage of his first song, but he had a lot of songs.
But did he fuck other people over?
I think... it's an interesting thing about this film. If you haven't seen it, it turned out to be an amazing film because of Chuck Berry's unpredictability, his mercurial quotient, his thorny disposition. Everybody was there to celebrate him, and he did everything possible to sabotage it. I mean, I'm kidding. It was the most difficult film I have ever made. I'm not kidding.
He wasn't cooperative?
Oh my God, it was unbelievable, and it was like bizarre. Why did we come there? We were all there to celebrate this hero of ours who had changed our lives. I mean, Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, the musical director. I mean, all these people were there. Chuck was just letting us have it left and right.
Did he not care if you got mad at him? Like if I meet someone and they're a fan, I'm like, wow, I really never want to get a fan mad at me if I can help it. He didn't give a shit.
He didn't. He didn't. He was a thorny guy, and he was tough. At 60 years old, he was 60, and let me tell you, he was in full command of his faculties. And he was an intimidating force. So when you say you get mad at him, it's not smart when you're a filmmaker and you are making a portrait documentary and you're there at the invitation of the person you're trying to get to piss him off. I mean, your natural innate sense of survival says, I got to tread lightly around this guy. He's not going to be easy. Keith Richards and I looked at each other and realized, Keith wanted to be involved because he stole every lick that Chuck ever played and freely admitted it. So here we are. We're working on this film together. And what Keith wanted to do, he said, listen, you're going to do the visuals. You can plan everything else. You can do the interviews. I'm handling the music. And Chuck had a great band when he first started. He changed my life and everybody else, Eric Clapton's, everybody else in England. The Beatles, they all recorded Chuck Berry stuff. John Lennon said there would be no rock and roll without Chuck Berry. Anyway, he said, but Chuck hasn't had a band in 30 years. He basically travels every weekend. He knows he can make a lot of money because he's a legend. And he goes in and he basically walks into a town and plays with a pickup band because anybody who plays rock and roll knows Chuck Berry songs.
So he doesn't have to have a trained band that he has to pay for their travel and their hotels?
He made $25,000 a pop. I'll tell you what happened. The reason I found that out very clearly, but Keith was, I want to give him a great band. I want to put together a fantastic band and really bring Chuck's game back up because I know how great he is. That's what he wanted to do, and that's praiseworthy. Pretty great for me as the filmmaker to hear that the musical director is going to kick ass. Well, the problem is, that was told to Chuck, but Chuck hadn't rehearsed in 30 years. He just knows his songs. He goes on the weekend, he plays them. Everybody gives him a standing ovation, and he goes home. And I was shooting rehearsals. And so as I was shooting rehearsals, and Chuck didn't want to be there, he thought this was silly. Why am I rehearsing my own songs? He got thorny. He started to really give it to Keith. And
what does Chuck Berry say to Keith Richards?
Yeah, what do you say to Keith Richards?
You basically say, you're not playing it right, Keith. And here's Keith Richards. You know, I'm kidding. I had, I didn't know Keith before this. We're friends now. I had a huge amount of respect for Keith Richards because he's a gigantic, star.
Yeah.
And he's there with his mentor, celebrating him, giving to him, giving back. And as it became really clear, Chuck was basically trying to piss him off, insult him, and have him walk off, because if he walked off, then he wouldn't have to reherse. So there's a great...
Slightly short-sighted.
There is, to me, a great sequence in my film. It's one of Chuck's great hits called "Oh Carol." Oh, Carol, don't let me steal your heart away. You're going to learn to dance if it takes me all night and day. And it's just rocking. It's happening. And there's a famous guitar. It's not a guitar lick. It's a bend on the left hand on the strings. It's push. Meow, 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 meow. And every guitar player tries to play it. And here's the man who invented it. And they're playing, and Keith basically corrects Chuck, because Chuck's amp was all fuzzy and terrible, and Keith wanted to have him play in tune, and it's like an insult. Chuck Berry, we're all there to celebrate you. Your guitar's not in tune. Can we tune it up for you? And there's a great sequence where the guitar tech that Keith had brought from England tries to tune, and Chuck says, "Nobody touches my guitar but Chuck Berry. Nobody touched," and he's referring to himself in the third person.
Oh no, that's how you know someone's nuts, by the way.
Right. Nobody touches Chuck Berry's guitar but Chuck Berry. And Keith is like saying, "Hey, he's just trying to get you in tune. Hey, I've been playing forever, for 40 years. I know what I'm doing." And they got into it. And so they started to play Carol, and Chuck was pissed at Keith. So when Keith plays things, he's played for so long, he does his own little style. And when it came to wow, wow, wow on "Oh Carol," Chuck stopped the band and says, "No, it's not played like that. It's played like this." And he played it. And then he said, "No, not like that, like this." And so
it's like that scene in Whiplash.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a moment.
Like, no, wrong tempo.
It's a moment. Believe me, Hell, Rock and Roll was before Whiplash. It's a moment where Chuck Berry is literally instructing, and in a very insulting way, Keith Richards. Now, Keith Richards' response to that could be any number of things. He could get pissed and say, "Fuck you," and walk off. He could, turn his back and not deal with it. He just stood there like a man, took it, and knew what Chuck was doing. He basically knew that if I blow it and I walk off like a spoiled rock and roll star, Chuck Berry will walk off and he'll win. So he didn't. And Keith Richards showed me so much class in that moment, and throughout the whole film. Keith Richards I got a lot of time for Keith Richards, but the Rolling Stones, he's the band leader.
Well, and everybody, by the way, has people in their life, like people we look up to, who you won't take shit from a lot of people, but hey, look, if that guy spit on me, I would allow it. Like, there's certain people in your life that you've idolized that you would tolerate it from.
Would you take comedy advice from Ozzy?
Yeah, even though he wouldn't know what he was talking about, I would let him tell me, "That's fucking terrible." All right, fine, I'll do it the way you said.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just do it because you love the person and you don't want to not love them. So you're like, you know what? I'll love them even though they're imperfect. And now Chuck is obviously a difficult guy, but he's in Hollywood. There's a lot of difficult people. So what is the best way in general to navigate these difficult performers? Because there's a lot of them.
You basically, and it has to do with, quote, star. In Hollywood, when you're a filmmaker, and you can have a good amount of success, but what Hollywood runs on is the star system. And there are brilliant actors that are stars who are not difficult. There are others who are stars who are impossible. And like I said, I've worked with several that are not easy. You basically have no option, because you realize that the film is getting made because of them.
And they know it.
Of course they do. And they're getting paid accordingly. And so when they're getting paid more than you are, and their name's going to be above the title, I mean, as a filmmaker, my name's above the title. and I've had some successful films, several. But you're still there understanding that if they want to act up, you can't just, you can, I have had moments where people are refusing, and I'm saying, and you don't want to say it, but you're finally said, all right, are you refusing to do this? Are you going to walk off the set and, let everybody know that you are, you've been giving me such shit for all this time, and I've been taking it, and I will take it because that's what I have to do to get a performance from you. But if you walk off here right now, you don't walk out of a film in Hollywood. You basically say, is that what you're going to do? And then they immediately go, I'm calling my agent. I said, well, go ahead and call your fucking agent. You know what they're going to tell you? They're going to tell you to get your ass back here and work, because that's what we're here for. Now, I've only said that a couple of times, and I've had to be pushed by that person to the nth degree, because there's everybody else sitting around. You got 100 people sitting there trying to make the film. Now, with Chuck Berry, I couldn't do that. Because seriously, Chuck Berry would just walk.
He would, if you said go ahead and walk, he would actually walk.
Oh, yeah. And, I'll give you a few interesting examples. I have 5 days to make this entire movie. There's not a lot of money, and it's a documentary. I'm shooting the rehearsals, and I'm shooting a big concert on Saturday night at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. Big, huge movie palace, from the 20s. I mean, gorgeous place. I have everything planned out. And Chuck says to me about the Sunday before we about to start, oh, Taylor, by the way, I can't shoot on Wednesday. What? Chuck, I've come here. Everybody's come here. I've got this whole thing planned. I got a really small amount of time. I got a gig. I said, you got a gig? What about this? You were the one that invited me. You're the executive producer of this film. Hey, man, the gig's been booked for a long time. And I'm going, wait a minute. This is impossible. How did this happen? Because nobody knew. And I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing the Ohio State Fair in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, well, shit, what could they be paying you? Universal's paying you $500,000. By the way, by the end of this, he'd stretched it to $800,000.
He pulled an extra $300,000?
Oh, let me tell you. I'll tell you those later. This is so good. But anyway, I say, Chuck, $25,000. He says, hey, man, I'm making that gig, and I'm going to make that 25 G's. And I'm not going to be here Wednesday, so get it down your throat now. I walked off, and this is the point. You have to say, what do I do? Because I can't not have him do it. What am I going to do? Call a lawyer? He'll just say, I'm not showing up. And it was very clear. Like I said, but the difference between a Hollywood star who literally is contracted to the studio and has to do X number of films, and Chuck Berry is the difference between I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. And anyway, I walk around, I'm stewing, and I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I got a crew here. I got everything. I said, well, go back to him. I said, okay, Chuck, you're going to Columbus, Ohio? I'm going to go with you. I'll get a ticket. I'll take my camera. I'll do sound. Take his camera, and we're going to go. He says, fine with me, but I ain't paying. In typical Chuck Berry style. Well, we went, and of course, he was, TWA was centered in St. Louis. St. Louis was his town. We flew, and of course, today you could never do this, but I'm sitting in first class with the camera in the aisle. I'm doing sound, and Chuck's sitting back having a drink. He checked his guitar, his famous guitar. He checked it in baggage.
What?
It was amazing. I think Chuck, he says, hey, man, it's deductible.
Didn't it occur to you guys just to give him the $25,000? Like, pay him not to do the gig? Like, hey, look,
he wouldn't do it.
Oh, he wouldn't cancel.
No. He said once I give my word, I'm gonna be there. Now we know what his word was worth, but
sure.
Still.
Yeah, because he gave you his word that he was going to film on Wednesday. So.
He basically, it turned out to be one of the best sequences in the film because I went along with him. I saw him park his car in the short-term parking lot in St. Louis. He gets on the plane, checks his guitar. We filmed all this. Gets to Columbus, rents a car. No driver, no limousine, rents a car. Puts his guitar in. He's only carrying an attaché case, right? He goes to the Ohio State Fair, big, huge thing. He drives up backstage. We're filming the whole thing. He goes right to the promoter's office. He opens a briefcase. They put $25,000 in cash in this, all right, in this briefcase. He takes out a kind of silk tie-dye psychedelic shirt and puts it on, takes off his travel shirts, puts this on, and literally goes on stage. There's the band waiting through. They're all like going, "Oh, we're going to play with Chuck Berry." Wow, the local Columbus, Ohio band. And he waves to them and goes up to the microphone, sets his briefcase down, and starts playing.
He brought the money on stage with him?
Oh yeah,
It's phenomenal.
oh yeah. And he plays, and the crowd goes crazy, and the band's back there playing, but there's no rehearsal. There's no nothing. And then he finishes, he waves, goes back, gets in his car, drives to the airport.
And they just have to follow his lead because there's not even a conversation about what songs we're going to play when.
No.
Nothing.
No. Well, this is the thing that the reason the sequence turned out so well. Anyway, he gets back that night about 1 a.m. at St. Louis, goes to the short-term car park, gets his car and drives home. You know, he did the whole thing in about 7 hours and made $25,000. In post, I wanted Springsteen. Springsteen couldn't come and be part of the concert, but I wanted him in the film. He said, "I'll do it if I can tell this story about when the E Street Band was nobody and we backed up Chuck Berry." And he basically did this interview. He was giggling the whole time. And he was fantastic because he basically narrated that sequence. Chuck hadn't changed it. 15 years before, Springsteen had done the same gig. And he said, we're there, we're going, oh God, we're going to play with Chuck Berry. This is our idol. And Chuck comes on, goes to the promoter's office, gets the cash, comes out and says, "Hey boys." And they say, "Hey Chuck, what are we going to play?" He says, "We're going to play some Chuck Berry songs." And he started playing, and Springsteen saying, "We didn't know what key it was." We were like, wow, what are we going to do? And he basically said that was the night. Now, he described exactly, Chuck hadn't changed in 25 years. That's what he did. And it turned out to be a fantastic sequence because I had the biggest rock and roller in America narrating this thing I shot. So, it's called, Keith and I said, we have to wing it. Who knows what's going to happen? And it turned out that sequence was one of the better ones in the film. And it was because Chuck had kind of thrown a grenade.
Sometimes when you're not planning on something or someone's like, "Fuck it, we're going to do it this way," it actually works out better. And by the way, just to digress for a second off to the left, because I will forget, you directed one of my favorite films, fucking Devil's Advocate.
I was going to say that too.
Is probably the most underrated thing Pacino has ever done.
I think so too.
Yeah, he was great.
That was a fucking, you understood what a great movie you were doing when you did that?
Yeah, it was when you're in the middle of something like that, it's, the studio was going to fire me. It was, it was just.
Why were they going to fire you?
Well, we got caught in some bad weather, and we lost a night, and, they just were being mean, but basically Al stood by me and Keanu stood by me. And it was a great experience, but we were just flying. It was not a popular film at Warner Brothers when we made it, meaning popular in advance. And at the same time, it was the only film that Warner Brothers made that year that made money.
Wow.
You know how these things happen? That's happened to me a couple of times. I mean, Officer and a Gentleman was exactly that way. We're going to the first week they were going to fire me because I was behind. And I knew in advance that I'd kind of said I could make the film. The production head of production, physical production, had budgeted the movie in a certain schedule, and then the head of the studio, Michael Eisner, said, "Well, I'm not going to make it for that schedule. If you make it for 8 days less." And what is it? It was my second film, my first studio movie. I said, "Yeah, of course I'll do it," not realizing I was basically going to have my head chopped off. And then they threatened to fire you in the process because you're doing what best you can in Washington State, where I shot Officer and Gentleman, and it's pissing with rain every day, and I've got to shoot. They don't care back in Hollywood; they just deliver.
You're behind, and that's it.
And in Devil's Advocate, I was shooting up on top of a rooftop with Keanu and Connie Nielsen, and she's in a slinky evening dress, and he's in New York, the temperature dropped 40 degrees.
Wow.
In 4 hours. We get there, we get set in the afternoon, and it was probably 60. It went down to 20. It went down to 18. they're shivering and they're, it's just like a disaster. And what do you do? Because you can't go anyplace else. Well, that didn't care to the studio. You get your ass to, you better get your ass in gear or you're out of here. These are the processes that go on. There's a lot of pressure when you're making a film. Now, at the end, you don't care. You don't want the audience to know anything about it. You want them to go and enjoy it.
Right, because the audience doesn't care. They just want to see it.
Yeah, and Devil's Advocate was very good. I mean, Tony Gilroy, who was my writer and is now a very well-known director, just wrote a great script. It was a piece that had been around Warner Bros. Forever, and I had done Dolores Claiborne with Tony, and I called him up, and it was like a very, very interesting story because he and I really are very much alike. We're not particularly religious individuals, but his brother had become born again. And so he said, he didn't want to do it. He says, it's just a fucking devil movie. I mean, come on. I said, no, it's a chance to really make a statement about the millennium. We were heading towards the millennium then, about lawyers and about narcissism and all the stuff. And no, I'm not going to do it. And so anyway, and then he used a feeble excuse. He said, now listen, I can't do it because my brother has just become very, very Christian, and it would be insulting to him. And I played a card. I played a really cool card here. I was just pulled it right out of my ass in this. And I said, all right, let's do this. Call your brother and tell him that I want you to do this film. And if he says you can't do it, then I'll accept it. And he goes, are you kidding me? Of course he's going to say that. Well, he called me back up and he said, you son of a bitch. I told my brother, and he said, Tony, you have to do this film. Yeah. And I said, well, of course. You know what the devil is? It's a Christian creation, right? The devil exists, in Christianity. Right. So they said the devil really exists, and you got to do this, Tony. So it was great because he wrote a great film, and then I shot. Every film you do, you can take. Pacino didn't want to do it. It was the same thing.
Why he just didn't want to play the devil? He's like,
He said, "So it's just a little." I said, "Hey, Al, you love Shakespeare. The devil's a Shakespearean role."
You got to sell it.
Yeah, and ultimately he was great. He was fantastic. And we working with Pacino. Listen, I've been lucky. I've worked with some great actors, and the great ones. They're complicated, but they're not difficult.
How much, by the way, do you lose? Like, I know in Officer and a Gentleman, the end scene is a very famous scene of Richard Gere. He grabs Deborah Winger out of the factory and he walks out with her. And originally, you guys didn't want to do that.
No. That's not true. What happened was the writer, Douglas Day Stewart, wrote that. He wrote it in the script. And I had a good relationship with Doug, and I basically said, sure, I'll shoot that. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'll shoot it. But the producer of the film at the time, I had a horrible time on Officer and Gentleman, really horrible. They tried to, I had no support. The studio threatened to fire me. The only reason that they didn't was that Richard Gere, Deborah Winger, and Lou Gossett said they would quit the film if they fired me, So I'm doing that, and by the end, the producer and Richard Gere said, this is not going to work. Basically said, we shouldn't shoot that because we're behind schedule. And I said, I got to do it. And so they gave me half a day to shoot the sequence. It's in a factory. There's a lot of things. There was a lot of shots involved. And it was just like I said to Doug, I'll shoot your sequence. I made up my mind I was going to shoot it. Now, there's a fascinating thing because everybody said, this isn't going to work. It's hokey. It'll never work. And we went into this paper bag factory in Spokane, Washington. And it was a factory where the women worked the line. They went there and the bags would come off and they'd bundle them up and put them in. And they were all women working this line, and they had their stations. So when we went in, the factory was functioning. Deborah Winger and Lisa Blount, who were playing, and Grace Zabriskie, who were the three actresses in the part, were playing those roles. And they had to learn that from the women who were there. So at a certain point, we're there getting ready to shoot. And I'm rehearsing. All the women that were on the line, the actual factory workers, stepped back behind us. The camera stepped up, Deborah Winger stepped in, Lisa Blount stepped in, and Richard Gere came walking around in a rehearsal in his white uniform. And as he went up to her and kissed her and picked her up, I heard this noise behind me. And I turned around, and all these hard-ass factory women were applauding and laughing and crying simultaneously. And I'm going, this sequence is going to work. holy shit, if these hard-boiled women are this affected by watching themselves, that's their entire lives, their mundane job of putting paper bags together in this factory. And they saw Richard Gere come in and pick them up. And from that moment on, I knew that sequence was going to work. They didn't think so. And by the way, I shot it in half a day, got it, and it was a very famous sequence.
It's a tremendously famous ending. And I remember about that movie, the one who played Paula, the one who was dating, it wasn't Michael Rooker? It was...
No, the one who was playing Lynette, you're talking about.
Lynette, sorry. Who was the guy?
David Keith.
David Keith. I always mix him and Michael Rooker up, and he hangs himself.
Yeah.
I was so attracted to Lynette because he said she gave the best head in 50 states. And I was 13 when that movie came out, and I remember that. I for 30 years, I remember that she gave the best head in 50 states. She was lovely.
Is that the same way, I guess, this scene works? I feel like Devil's Advocate, had it not been done properly, like that's such a kind of high concept type of movie that could easily, if done poorly, be very, very cheesy.
Yeah,
like, is that something that, like, when you realize that that's what's in front of you, is that an intimidating thing, or do you just get this picture right away of here's how you do this?
Well, and like I said, I gave credit to the writer. I mean, I knew the original script that had been batting around Warner Brothers for 8 years was cheesy. And my point was, I didn't want to, they had monsters appearing in the opening sequence. I mean, where do you go? What can you do? So the whole process was to have a certain vision of what it could be. And, again, all you're doing, you're giving a script that is not very good to, your collaborators, to Pacino. But in this instance, he turned it down. Then I had Tony come in. Tony rewrote the entire film in 1 month. I mean, a major rewrite. And, he and I are very close friends, but he's a great writer. And then I went in, and then I started honing it myself after that in terms of just getting the nuances. I collaborated, so I did not want, I worked with Rick Baker, who did all these kind of weird images. And I didn't want to see them. They didn't happen for a long time. And when you saw them for a split second.
Right.
But, what I saw in Devil's Advocate was an opportunity to do a satire on our narcissistic age right at the millennium, and on the legal profession, which, let's face it, controls everything. We call it in the piece, we call it the new priesthood, right? Everybody's got to have a lawyer, and of course, there's depends on how much money you have. If you have a good lawyer or not a good lawyer, and who has the best lawyers? The people who are in corporate America, or bad people with a lot of money, and they always win. And so the idea that John Milton, Al Pacino, is the devil. If he came back in the world today, would he go to the church? No, he's going to have an international law firm.
But it was really the little subtle shit made me so happy. I love the fact that his office was empty. There was nothing in his office, no place to sit. And I love the fact that at the funeral, who was the actor that played the guy who was fucking his stepdaughter?
Craig T. Nelson.
Oh yeah, and
you know who that is, by the way?
Who?
It's based on Donald Trump.
Is it really?
Yeah, the thing that is amazing, let me tell you a little Trump story here. We're making Devil's Advocate, and there is a developer, a very egotistical, very thorny New York developer whose lawyer is John Milton, Al Pacino. And what happens is they're having when they first go up to two things. They go up to Pacino's apartment. It wasn't his office.
Oh, his apartment.
It was his apartment. There's no furniture. And Keanu's looking around. He goes, "There's nothing." He says, "Where do you?" He says, "Where do you sit?" He said, and what do you? And then he says, "Where does he fuck?" And then Pacino's walking, and he says, "Everywhere." A great Pacino line, right? But in that instance, they get a phone call that Alex Cullen,
right,
played by Craig T. Nelson, has just been arrested for murdering his wife, her maid. And there's a bloody one of his bloody handprint on the wall, and they give the case to Keanu, and of course they're like giving it to this kid. This is a big client. Basically, in our mind, we were making Cullen a Donald Trump type character with that kind of ego and that kind of success. Now, in the process, I'm going, I need to get a location for this guy. And, I said to my location scout, who was the best location scout in New York, can you get me some photographs or get us into Trump's apartment or Mort Zuckerman's apartment or somebody like that? One of these big titans in New York. And she said, I'll see. I kept asking her when I was looking at different locations, and she said, "Oh, by Tuesday, we're going up to look at Donald Trump's apartment at the Trump Tower." I said, "What? You're kidding?" I said, "Can I take photographs?" She says, "If you like it, you can use it." I said, "Really?" I said, "Does he know what's in the script? Does he know what this is?" She says, "It doesn't matter. He owes me." And this is something about Trump that I think is important. I said, "What do you mean he owes you?" She said, I was the location scout for Home Alone 2. Home Alone 1 was the biggest film in the country that year. And Home Alone 2 was coming out, which meant that it was guaranteed as a sequel to be a huge film. And John Hughes, who was the filmmaker, had set it at the Plaza Hotel. Well, Donald Trump had just bought the Plaza, and things were really bad. This was when Donald Trump was on the very edge of destruction. His Atlantic City, things were going down. He overpaid for the Plaza. Everything was...
Oh, he did overpay for it.
He was about to implode. Yeah, he was about to really implode. And she came to him and said, "I want to do this. I want to do this film here." And he went immediately, "Yeah, great." And at that point, because Home Alone 2 was shot there, and at that point, his fortunes turned around. And when they turned around, he always looked at her and said, "You were my lucky charm," And so she said, "If you want to use his apartment, he owes me." And I went in, loved it. I mean, Trump's apartment, which is, all brass, gold, marble, steel. And, it's, as the writer said, you could snort cocaine from any surface. and basically, it's very gaudy. And it was perfect for us. I shot that whole scene with Craig T. Nelson and Keanu Reeves in his apartment. And the fresco that's on the ceiling, I came down off of that. You have the incredible view of Manhattan.
Right.
And, Donald Trump would come downstairs every day from upstairs. He was married to Marla Maples at the time, and say, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen," and get in dressed in his suit and his overcoat and go to work. He was actually very cool to us.
And he repaid his debt to that woman. Definitely by letting you guys use that.
Oh, without
Yeah.
question. I mean, Jan, and he had a great relationship. Her name was Jan Foster. She's now a fantastic production manager. She was the best location scout in New York.
We have a question coming in, Taylor, and I think this guy is going to ask something that I had been curious about. Just make sure your headphones are. I'm sure they are. Yes, Alicia, New Jersey. I think you want to ask something that I wanted to ask. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. First, I'd like to say, forgive me, I'm a little nervous. I really love you guys.
Thank you.
And I'm a huge fan.
Good to be nervous.
Jimmy's fantastic Netflix special.
Thank you.
It was amazing. I have a question. Love the film Devil's Advocate, and there's a scene where Keanu Reeves, you've cleared out Times Square. It seems like he's alone entirely in Times Square, and I was wondering how you filmed that.
Well, it wasn't in Times Square. It was 57th Street.
Oh, thank you for nothing, Alicia. Goodbye. God damn it.
Very stupid question.
And
All
Very
nervous.
Very stupid.
It is a great. It's before heavy special effects, but I had this image, and this was not in the script. This is me wanting to do something. Be able to feel the power. Once Keanu starts to realize, he just had this great moment with Judy Ivey, his mother, where he realizes, oh my God, John Milton is my father. And it's revelation. And he walks out and he walks into the street, and it's 57th Street is totally empty. I had to shoot it. First of all, you have to know New York. New Yorkers are not early people. You can drive 60 miles an hour on most streets in Manhattan about 6:37 in the morning, and then as every 15 minutes happens, gridlock kind of comes up. So by 8:45, it's the traffic's full. But they don't come out early, and on Sunday, it's that in spades. Everyone sleeps in and stays out, and they come out late. So I just figured that on 57th Street, if I could, we and the police helped. Jan Foster again had great relationship with the NYPD. We cleared all the parking, and we started at 3rd Avenue. There's a hill that goes down there, and we cleared to 8th Avenue the night before. and they tow cars off, and we did it at sunrise because I wanted the sun to come around. The sun rises over on the East River, and then would come down and shine right down 57th Street, which would give me a very long shadow on Keanu. I had a 75-foot shadow on him, 100-foot shadow when the sun's very low. And he walked out, and I had a Titan crane. Had to get the thing quick, but it was amazing. And then we did a tiny bit of digital erasing, a couple of people walking across way in the background.
But the majority of that was not CGI.
No. And then there was, it's interesting, you do something like that, and then later there was a film called Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. That movie, they did Times Square. And basically, I think they saw Devil's Advocate, liked it, and wanted to do something similar in New York. And they went in Times Square. So, she's right. She remembers an image of Times Square empty. It was Vanilla Sky that came after Devil's Advocate.
How do you feel when you watch something and you're like, I think I influenced that? Like, is that like, do you feel like, wait, that's ripping me off? Or do you feel like I'm influencing?
I basically... listen, there's nothing new. The great filmmakers. I was looking at Wings recently, which was the first Academy Award film by William Wellman. It's about flying in World War I.
I thought you meant the sitcom.
Yeah, me too.
No,
in the airport.
It's about flying in World War I, and there's a sequence in a it's like the guys are on they're on leave. And they go to Paris. There's a sequence in there in this huge Paris nightclub that is the most amazing thing. There's no steady cam. It was not a crane because you're literally going across people's heads. How the hell he did that, I have no idea. However, when you see something like that, you realize that anybody who says, "Oh, I created this," I mean, the concept of shooting in New York with an empty thing, that was my concept. But, I'm sure that if you went back in history of cinema, you'll find certain things that might match. I can't look at one that I can quote, but I don't want to take credit because I can get slapped in the face by
somebody. You may go back and say, "Oh, no, you got it from this Howard Hughes movie or whatever." It was something that was already.
Another thing was very interesting with Devil's Advocate. Devil's Advocate, we had a sequence at the end in his apartment where we had this bas relief up on stage with all these naked figures it's like this huge sculpture. And I knew, there's a thing at the National Cathedral, which is very similar to this. And I knew that. But, we looked and we went back in time. We did the production designer, Bruno Rubeo, did a huge amount of research. And we went back centuries and looked at bas reliefs. Very similar things. Naked people in consort on a big wall. And we had it all booked. So the film comes out, and there's a lawsuit filed by the sculptor, and it's very interesting because you're sitting there and you're going, wait a minute. So there's a lawsuit. So we did all our homework in advance. So we'll fight it and win, because that sculptor was influenced by everybody else that had come before. And we've got all the things to prove it. So I think that we're going to handle that. And meanwhile, they go in injunction, and they took the case. They filed the case in Virginia, right, out of Washington D.C. Well, as time went on, I started to realize this was going to be a tough case, and the lawyers for this artist got an injunction against the DVD being released. And you're going, what? And then, Charlie, remember Scotty Rustin? Scotty Rustin, who was one of the great editorial writers for the New York Times. I mean, a very venerable, really great guy. He's a Washington reporter for the New York Times forever and ever. He goes to the National Cathedral. The National Cathedral is Episcopalian, which is the kind of Church of the United States, the Church of England, but it's also the official Church of the United States, if you want to call it that. And a lot of important people go there. Well, you start to realize there was a lot, editorials being written. Scotty Rustin wrote an editorial in the New York Times about the sacrilegious quotient of Hollywood doing this thing about a devil and using something that was there. This sculptor had a lot of juice. So finally, I go into the guy who was the general counsel at Warner Brothers. He said, Taylor, we're going to settle this thing. I said, what? You're going to settle this? How can you? We did all our homework. I had to come to you before we started to say we covered this thing. He said, Taylor, listen, you got all these people lined up. They filed it in Virginia, which is a Bible state. And he said, they're gonna think about it. They're gonna be a bunch of Jews coming in from Hollywood who are trying to defend a devil movie in a Bible banging state. It isn't gonna happen. And it was like the truth. And they had paid the guy $2 million.
Wow.
And it was like one of those things where you realized, sometimes the forces of society, even if you're right, it's not right.
And that is funny too. I meant to ask you at the premiere of The Comedian. I saw, and people know you're married to Helen Mirren, and I saw Helen. And I don't know her. We just said hello, but I had wanted to add one. She's in one of my favorite films. I think Caligula is a very underrated movie. Like there's two versions. There's an R version, and then there's an X version.
Which one is the one that you think?
I prefer the X version, but the R version has all the actors I like. I mean, there's her, Malcolm McDowell, John Gielgud, Peter O'Toole. Like they use tremendous actors.
Yeah.
They had no idea any of this was going on, right? Like they
no,
literally.
I think they did know. I mean,
they did.
Well, it was Bob Guccione. It was his magazine financed it. He made a fortune because he four-walled. Caligula came out in that first porno era. That you go to the Deep Throat era. He wanted to do classy porno. They weren't involved, any of them, with it. But
right.
There was all these people on the set that they were shooting all this stuff. And there was a Italian director named Tinto Brass who was a communist and kind of thought that sex and equality and all those things were happening. So. They weren't involved in any of the hardcore stuff, but they said there was stuff around and they knew what it was going to be. Well, Bob Guccione, four-walled that picture in New York and L.A. and a few other cities, and it played for months and months and months, and he just made huge amounts of cash on it.
Oh, so they knew that there was stuff being shot that was real hardcore. Oh, I didn't know that.
It was, no, that was the intent. I mean, after all, it was, it was his, that was his MO.
I think Malcolm McDowell said no, we didn't know, but
some of the actors have said they didn't know, but I could understand why they would say that.
Yeah, I would think so, but I think that from what I understand, they knew there was a second crew going around, and there was alternate takes with certain people in the background, et cetera, et cetera.
You also directed Ray. How did you? When you found out that Jamie Foxx, or when you picked Jamie Foxx, I don't know how it worked, was gonna take this role, how did you react? Because at the time, Jamie Foxx was not this movie star that he is now. I mean, that's the movie that made him a movie star.
He was an irreverent comedian.
Right, he was a comic actor who had like a series and
In Living Color and Booty Call. And
yeah,
so forth.
Exactly.
Well, you have to understand, these are the interesting things about being a filmmaker, and I had been trying to make Ray for a long time. I got the rights from Ray Charles personally, and nobody wanted to make the film. And, in reality, it took me 15 years before I really finished it. I kept going back every year to Ray Charles and saying, hey, Ray, I'm sorry, but nobody will make it. And he was so cool. He even said, hey, man, things happen in their own time. He was very good to me. But anyway, at a certain point when I realized that it was going to happen, I finally got the money to get a script. I'd written a treatment. I hired a black writer, who was doing the screenplay, and we started casting. I had to, it was tough because Ray Charles was known by everybody. Ray Charles was generational. He was on Sesame Street, so kids knew him and adults knew him and all this stuff. So I had to, you had to do something where you have somebody that kind of looks like him, right? Not like him, but Jamie Foxx I brought in for the very kind of perfunctory nature of his head shape. I saw it, thought it was right, but I didn't know whether he could do it or not. But at my first interview with Jamie, we sat and talked, and he was very cool, very quiet. And I said, listen, I'm going to use Ray's real voice so I can, somebody's going to lip sync, and I figured that's going to be not too hard. He says, yeah, I started as a singer. And I said, but I'm going to, the hard bit is Ray's a great piano player. And we're going to have to get somebody who can do the fingering, and I'll use a cinematic trick to come from that up to the actor's face. And Jamie said, "You don't have to do that with me. I play the piano." I said, "Yeah, so do I. But we ain't no Ray Charles." He said, "Listen, I started playing piano when I was 4.5 years old. I played the piano in my gospel church. I had a band, and then I went to university on a piano scholarship." I said, "You went to university? Really? What, like jazz and funk?" He said, "No, classical." And right there, I cast him.
Really?
Just boom. I mean, because look at it. Here's an irreverent black comedian who went to university on a classical scholarship playing Chopin and Beethoven. It immediately says how smart he is. It immediately says how disciplined he is. That was it. And I walked out of there and
had he done a read at that point?
No.
That's how. See, why don't I have a story like that? I need someone to discover my talent.
Those things that he just mentioned, like you don't have any of those.
No, I don't have any of those things. But that's what I need a story. Like a director was looking for someone that had actually paid someone for sex in a car in New Jersey, and I just don't. I don't have a story like that.
Well, I dropped out of high school and worked in a Caldor.
Perfect.
You're the guy.
You're the guy. So you cast him. How did you? But the thing is with the voice and the impression. I mean, he really got it. I mean, it was amazing to do such a famous guy that well.
Let me say this. This is because again, I have a lot of time for Jamie Foxx. We had a great experience. I mean, I basically said, "Listen, man, we're in deep shit, you and I, because you live in the black community, and you can't spend the rest of your life saying to your uncles, your grandfather, your cousins, well, I guess you couldn't do it, Jamie. You know, I mean, you got Ray Charles we're doing, and I can't look at every black friend in my life and say, you son of a bitch. You know, they're going to basically say, why did you do this to us? So basically, we started, and I spent a lot of time with Ray, and he'd been, as I said, very good to me. Ray kind of always went, well, you're the filmmaker, you got sight, you'll choose who it is. But I knew, Ray Charles was, talk about thorny and difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved him, and he was very different than Chuck Berry, but a substantial force. And I knew there was no way I was going to cast somebody as Ray Charles without Ray Charles giving his imprimatur, So I set an appointment up in Ray's studio in Los Angeles. I had 2 electric pianos set up side by side because I figured, they'll bond, there'll be a chance to meet and talk. And I'm shooting it like they're shooting me right now. I was shooting it on a video camera. And Ray gets over there and he starts playing, and Jamie starts playing, and they do a little funk, and they're just kind of feeling each other out and talking and playing.
And is Jamie Foxx a fan? Is he like losing his mind at this opportunity?
I think Jamie was, of course, Ray Charles is an icon.
Right.
Ray Charles was a major force in the black world, in my world. Forget it. So I think Jamie was a bit intimidated and a little nervous because Ray is in his own, he's on top of the world. And he's there, but he was being very nice, and they're talking and so on. And then all of a sudden, Ray starts playing Straight No Chaser. He was playing Thelonious Monk. And if you know about Thelonious Monk, nothing makes sense. I mean, it's just the strangest kind of rhythmic pattern. And Jamie, all of a sudden, who'd been playing everything great, couldn't get it. Didn't know. And I kind of thought, well, he went to university on a piano scholarship, classical. If they playing Chopin, Jamie would have been fine. And I knew he could play funk and soul music and so on. But jazz, I figured, of course he plays jazz. No, he didn't play jazz. He didn't know jazz. And he never played it. And so now there was a moment of real discomfort because Ray's going da 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 da. It's if you know that Thelonious Monk piece, but Jamie never heard it, and it's not easy. And Ray, and this is who Ray is. He's a man, and he is going to force an issue. He's going to find out who you are. And so he kept playing it, and here's Jamie not getting it, and it's starting to get embarrassing. And I'm thinking, this is going to blow up in my face. Jamie's going to storm out of here. But again, Jamie is a man. He's a substantial guy, and he stayed with it. And then Ray did this incredible thing. He says, wait, man, stop. Listen, it's right under your fingers. And he played it slowly. He says, right under your fingers. And Jamie played it, and then he got it. And at that moment, Ray hugged himself, and and kind of went, that's it. He's got it. He's the guy. He's the one. It's it. He anointed him right there. And I swear to God, Jamie, this is metaphorical, but he levitated. you could just see, because he had been anointed by the guy he was playing. And this is only part of the story. The best part of the story is coming up. I mean, it was great. And that was Ray. He tested him. He said, this guy's got it. I know who he is now. And I don't care. He said to me, I don't care. You make the choice. You made the right choice. It's just go from here. So I say to Jamie, hey, this is fantastic. I mean, you stood your ground. You really did it. I'm so proud of you. And now I got to go on locations, scouting. You spend some time with Ray and imprint him, get the whole thing. I mean, what's better? So I go away for 2 weeks, and I come back, and I call Ray. I said, so, Ray, how's it going with Jamie? He says, I don't know. I never saw him. I said, what? He said, no, I didn't see him. So I called Jamie. I said, hey, James, I've been gone, and I thought you get together with Ray. Oh, I've been busy. I've been doing these things. I said, you've been busy? I don't know what else you could be doing that is more important than this. Go down there, see him. You want me to? Okay. So I go away. I said, I'm going away for another week. I go away for a week, and I come back, and I call Ray. So how's it going with Jimmy? I don't know. He hasn't been here. What? So I called Jamie, but this time, this is who I am. I was very nice. But you were saying that, now it's a little different. What the fuck is going on? I'm like, give me a fucking break here. What's going on? He said, Taylor, listen, this is an 80-year-old man. I'm not playing an 80-year-old man. This is a man completely on top of his game. He's played for 7 presidents and 10 kings and queens. He is so confident. That's not who I'm playing. I'm playing a guy who's blind, who's coming from northern Florida and going to Seattle on a bus. Now, I don't think it behooves me. He said, I'll get him. Believe me, I can get his style of speech. But he said, if you want me to go imprint that, I think it's wrong. And I thought for a second, I went, you know what? You're absolutely right. I realized Jamie Foxx is an incredibly good actor and a really smart man. And I said, no, I think you're right. If that's how you feel, that's it. So he didn't. I explained it to Ray. Ray said, that's cool, man. I know the kid's got it. So, and then he goes ahead and wins the Academy Award, and he was brilliant. But there's an instance where it wasn't the director telling him stay away from Ray. I was doing the opposite. Jamie was smart enough to realize if I imprint him, that's the wrong attitude.
He was smart enough to realize that the idea of hanging out with Ray Charles was great, but it wouldn't have helped what he was doing, which is where I would have fallen. We have to break in a minute, but before we let you go, I wanted to ask you too. Did you ever know Kubrick or no?
No.
You never met him?
Never.
Because he had a reputation of being a bit of an odd 80 takes for unnecessary.
He was a auteur. He was definitely, it's hard to argue with with Kubrick. He had a vision, and he made some amazing movies.
He did.
Was the pitch to De Niro to do the opening to Jim's special, was that a difficult pitch?
No, because Jim came in and worked with us. He was incredibly generous. Bob is a fantastic guy. Bob he's the real deal. And he doesn't say a lot, but nothing gets by him. So he had a good experience with Jim. They weren't super close because they was only here for a little bit. But they worked together, and we had a lot of different input from different writers. And Bob, I of course said, I think this is it, and Bob looked at it and said, that's it. So all I said was, listen, De Niro is the real deal. Call him up, Jim. That's all you have to do, because he knows what you contributed. Called him up, and bang, he was there.
Amazing.
It was, yeah, he did. I don't know if you've seen it, but he did it such a. He was.
Oh, you got to see it. You'll love it.
He was so fucking funny in it. He was amazing. It's like it's a 3-minute open and 2-minute open, and he's about a minute of it, and he was great.
Yeah.
We have to break and wrap up. But is there anything you're promoting? We didn't even promote anything you're doing. I know the Comedian's coming out on Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
When is that on?
And it's coming out in Europe. I don't know. It'll be in the. It's you never know these things. All of a sudden they spring out. But my sense about the Comedian, I want to get it out, especially when it hits cable, because I'm very proud of the film. It's got a lot. It's got a lot going. We got some great performances, and I think people will. It is offensive,
Yeah.
as comedy will be, especially an insult comic like Jackie Burke. But at the same time, I think De Niro was fantastic, and so was Leslie Mann, and the whole thing. Danny DeVito, Patti LuPone, Edie Falco, Charles Grodin. They were all fantastic. Jim Norton.
Yeah, yeah. I felt I yelled at him as he walked by. I felt I kind of stole the film, but nobody else. But it was really fun. I appreciate it, man. And come back anytime. We would love to have you again.
Great.
It was so great. And everyone knows who Taylor is and his films. But you've done a couple of my favorite things, and so thanks for coming, man. It was really good seeing you.
Thank you much.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Kristen Bell. We happily return to the radio airwaves. Hold on, Sam Brand Muffins. There you are. We just took a single. Thank you to Taylor Hackford. And I was saying to the guys...
I love when you do your mental, out loud mental Rolodex.
What?
We're back on the radio. We just took a single. Let me get the microphone on.
Yeah, I have to do that. And also remind me, we can't do it now, but maybe later, somebody was writing fan fiction for The Walking Dead.
What?
Yeah.
Were you? Who? You?
No.
No, I know who it was.
Who was writing Walking Dead
I
fans?
could guess.
And I forgot to ask Taylor about fucking When We Were Kings, that amazing Ali documentary, which Adrian has never seen, with George Foreman. He was one of the producers
it's
on that.
great.
I'm fucking so annoyed I forgot about that.
Don't curse at yourself.
I should. All right, let's bring her. Is she here?
I don't know. We have Kristen Bell coming in.
Yeah, she's...
Roland says like 2 minutes.
Okay, what is she promoting?
She's going to be in the new film Chips.
What's that?
Based on the TV series Chips.
What's that?
Yes, where
They took my name. How about some cake for the chipper?
her husband Dax Shepard and Michael Pena are they're
I ain't got no money yet. What's that?
the movie's called Chips.
How about some cake for the chipper if you're going to use my name?
How are you going to get through this one?
How about a little cake for the chipper?
You're spitting all over yourself.
Fuck. Fucking shut up.
So glad you have your own microphone.
Yeah, you and me both. Fuck cucker.
What does that mean? Somebody called me a sick cucka on Instagram. It's a typo, I think.
Yes, it was.
Really made me laugh.
Yeah, but maybe tomorrow we'll do it. But it was Craig Schenkel was talking out some fan fiction for The Walking Dead.
No.
We'll have time after Kristen.
I got to be honest. I'm concerned you're not going to like it. I'm concerned.
Why would Craig Schenkel be doing fan fiction for The Walking Dead?
Because Jim Norton is lonely. Oof. I watched. I'm almost caught up. Did you like now, Trav? I left. I texted Travis Dog. Oof, 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 oof. And you didn't like the episode where they were in the fucking van.
The Michonne date?
You didn't text me.
Oh, maybe I talked. I meant to text you. I asked you. I asked you.
I did not.
You didn't. Did you like the one where it was? What was the next one after that? Where fucking?
Was that with Carol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was okay.
That was all right.
Morgan freaks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. That was okay. Yeah,
But not
Let's-
amazing.
Let's
No.
be honest. This half of the season has been a real turkey.
Yeah. And not in a good way, right? Not in a fun way.
Yeah, no. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, I make the conscious decision now to watch Bar Rescue instead.
Oh yeah, you said that you love that show, right?
I love Bar Rescue.
God damn it! I'm really. The recording quality is not good.
Oh wait, it's not written.
Oh no, it's recorded.
Why would you?
I'm concerned you're not going to enjoy it.
Even worse.
Yeah, it doesn't even like. I guess if it was written, maybe it could be translated into something, but just to record your voice translates it into nothing.
I didn't do it. It's not long. It's
I
20
didn't do it.
seconds.
Craig
What are you
did
pointing
it.
at?
They're giving each other
door.
We'll point at the door and then bring her in. Bring the bitch in.
hand gestures.
She's married to Dax Shepard in real life?
That's right, IRL.
I didn't know that.
That's right.
Cool.
In real life. You would know that if you had made it to the second line of the one sheet.
Nah, but I don't read that. I was too busy looking at that. She was in a good place with Ted Danson. Teddy D, how's he doing?
By the way, the wrestling fans
Uh-huh.
that watch
Word 'em up.
they watch my wrestling interviews for the wrestling part of it.
Sure.
Hate you
Why?
because you didn't know anything about Charlotte.
Who gives a fuck? But the bottom line is,
That's
so what if I don't know about Charlotte? Half our fans don't know about Charlotte, so me asking a question is something that they wouldn't.
I'm going to have to go on my wrestling podcast and explain to them because I was glad you were here because it's exactly what happened. She would be like, "Oh, and they sell," and you would say,
What does
the
that
question
mean?
that most of the audience has.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'll tell you, fucking wrestling podcast fan, shut your faces.
Let them know.
I knew who she was in the fact that I know she's a big WWE wrestler. I know her father's Ric Flair. But If I don't know something, I'm going to ask it. That's part of what it is. Sam is an expert on wrestling.
Right.
And you almost know too much about wrestling.
I agree.
Where you're going to ask questions like, so, selling blah, 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 and you're going to talk in wrestling lingo.
Too inside.
And a lot of these people are going to go, what the fuck's he talking about? And
Right.
your co-host is going, what the fuck are you talking about? So I have to ask.
Same way when UFC guys or whoever come in, and I'm like, let's clarify it for the simple, more common man.
Yeah, sometimes you want to clarify things because most people listening are not experts. So tell these podcast motherfuckers, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll let him know.
Where's Kristen Bell?
Roland says he's going to bring her in.
Oh, he's going to bring her in.
What the fuck's Kristen Bell?
Where the fuck is she? Ringing something, I bet. Roland.
Welcome, Kristen Bell.
Hi, Kristen.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good.
Jim didn't turn your microphone on yet.
Oh, hold on a second. You didn't tell me to.
I didn't
Okay,
tell
it's on.
you
I'm
to.
He
kidding.
thought it would be obvious when I walked in and sat down.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but I wanted to give you a second because a lot of times people blurt things out when they walk in, and I wanted you to have a moment to know that we were
That's
actually
very
on the air.
sweet. What kind of things do they blurt out?
Those
Jeez
usually hit on me.
Louise. Understandable.
No, but so
It's
many
never
people-
happened once. He's making it up.
So many people walk in, they're like, I didn't know we were on. And they're like,
Yeah.
they wind up saying shit like, hey, my co-star sucked. Oh, no, we're on. So you are
Don't talk about my co-star. They really blow. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Have you
Plus,
been on with us before?
I don't think so.
I don't think
no,
you were
maybe a
on
long time ago.
Yep. I think we promote Veronica Mars.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah. That was a while back. I mean, I would say that the fact that your husband is your co-star in this movie, you're probably not going to come
Bash
on the air and
the-
motherfuck
no.
him because you think
No.
the mics are off.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
but you know how it is.
Also, I like him very much. He's
You
like
do?
the cutest person on the planet to me. So yeah.
Did you meet working? Were you guys doing a film? How did you meet?
No, we met at a dinner party for a friend of like 10 people and had no connection. He was like, oh, I don't know who that girl is. And I just remember he talked so much. And then we ran into each other 2 weeks later at a Red Wings game. And we were like, oh, weren't you at Shauna's birthday party? And then he just started flirting with me. And I remember he took my gum because he said, do you have any more gum? And I said, no, just this. And I kind of like pulled it out of my mouth and he grabbed it. And I was like, oh my God, this guy wants to fuck me. That's what it means if you take someone's gum.
That's 100%.
Either
Yeah.
that or you
Yeah,
really
so I was
want
like,
gum.
oh, the signals are clear.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
What balls to do that? You got to look like Dak Shepard to do that.
Jim took a half-eaten Altoid from me once, but that's just third base. That's not.
You guys didn't hook up. Oh,
No,
just third base.
Yeah,
okay.
just, that's not all. That's
Yeah.
not as good, serious as gum is.
So when you said he talked a lot when you first met him.
Yeah, he still does.
Did you like that, or were you like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy talks a lot? Oh, you did.
No, I love it. I love it because he has opinions on everything, but they're well thought out. But he also has this he talks a lot, but he has this very I don't know, evolved way of sensing whether or not his opinions are wanted or can add to the like conversation.
Right.
So he does pull back a lot. Like he can be quiet, but he's a very, very strong critical thinker. He studied anthropology. He has a primatology degree. So he's like citing all these things about why we're like monkeys and why humans relate to each other. It's very sexy to listen to him talk.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you ever dated somebody, and in general, like where they just every time they talk in front of people, you're like, shut the fuck up, stop
I would never date someone where I thought I wanted them to shut the fuck up.
Oh,
if they
I
were
have.
talking.
Yes.
Has that ever happened to
Why
you?
on earth were you
Anytime.
dating them? That's not the person you should date.
Well, it's not long-term relationship. Like somebody you go out with a couple of times, like you
Oh.
kind of like them and you know them, but
Were
you
you
don't.
attracted to them
Yeah.
physically?
Very.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
that
yeah,
we don't know
yeah,
how they
yeah.
are when they drink.
Sure.
So they,
Yeah.
they get drunk and sound stupid.
You don't know they tip a few back, and all of a sudden they're like, Jews. And you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
shut up.
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That
no,
makes
he's
sense.
not that.
No, he's not. But I mean, have you ever in your life had somebody who you weren't proud of?
No, because I have had 3 or 4 very long-term relationships, like over 2 years, 2 to 5 years. But beyond that, I do like one date, and I know if I'm going to be able to tolerate you, or if you're like if we can sync, if we can
Okay.
tango. Yeah.
Do you feel pressure to be like a good couple? Because I feel like because like my wife, for instance, like loves you as a couple. I think a
Yeah.
lot of like, especially women, love you two as a
Yeah.
couple. So if you start showing any chinks in the armor, this could be terrible for both of you.
Well, here's why. First of all, yes, I feel not a pressure, but a responsibility. But my worldview is this, particularly now when Earth is in such a bad mood, it is important to spread joy. Period. I like my husband very much. We're very open about our relationship on purpose because we used to be very like tethered to all the details and we were like, this is our private life. And then I thought, you know what? If we talk about the fact that we go to couples therapy or that we fight, we had a fight this morning. We literally had a fight before we got here.
What'd you guys fight about?
The person who was doing my hair walked in and she said, did you get my text? And he goes, she'll never text back. She doesn't text back. And I go, excuse me, I do text back. He said, no, you don't. Then pulled his phone out, evidenced a lot of times I didn't text back. And I felt stupid and I felt like it was a defamatory remark. I was like, I do text back. I'm not tethered to my phone all the time. I didn't check it that morning. I just felt like he was insulting me and we argued about it. But the thing is, we argue in a healthy way. We just communicate, you know?
Does he win a lot of arguments?
All of them.
Yeah,
All
because
of them.
you said he's a critical thinker.
He's a very fast thinker and it drives me crazy. But the good thing is he knows that I'll cry if he goes too far.
So he goes half
So
speed?
he goes half speed for me. But we're very honest about the fact that we try, because we disagree on 99% of things in the world. But we argue really well. We go to therapy to try to get a bigger toolbox to communicate, and it makes us happier and healthier.
How long are you married?
We've been married 3 years and together for 10.
This is not.
How
the
long
vid-
did he say?
Oh, he didn't mention it. I asked him. He said,
He said you've
I
only,
think that's
he
right.
said you've only been serious for a year and a half, so I don't know what
he
that
said you're seeing each other.
Oh my God.
You brought now. You had a fascination with with the sloth, and this is why I'm asking. I saw a video of a girl who got a sloth brought to her, and I know that happened. Was that you in the video or no? It didn't say you. I think I would have recognized that it was somebody else.
Did she have like a panic attack on the bed? Was she holding
No,
her
it was-
hand
it
over
was-
her face like this, crying? That was
Not
me.
on the bed. This was in an office setting. I think. Could you go? I didn't know that you had done
No,
this.
that girl was just maybe ganking my style because I definitely had a panic attack when he. No.
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
But mine is even worse. I was not like dressed in real clothes and had makeup on like this girl. Dax, basically, I used to Google at night like all these cute baby sloths because I love them. I just think they're like a monkey and a pig with the reflexes of your grandmother. Look how cute they are.
Wow.
They're so
That's
cute.
what it says on my Tinder profile.
He actually got a company that does animals for movies to come to the house and bring one to set like a little like habitat in the living room for a couple hours so I could interact with it. And he had to take out a wild animal insurance policy on the house to do this. So this was like months in the making. It was like the best present ever. And he said, go wait in the back bedroom with the dogs while your present gets here. You'll never guess what it is. And I was like, well, I know it's not a handbag. And then he walked down the hallway and I was already crying on the bed when he came in because I just felt it. I knew it. I don't know how I knew it, but I knew he'd brought a sloth to the house. And I basically was sobbing on the bed and he videotaped it.
What is it about this animal? Because the other girl reacted the same way. She just broke down. What is it about this animal that makes people cry when they see it? It looks like a nice animal.
It's so because I think particularly for girls, they just look like they're cuddle bugs, and they're not really, which is weird because they're solitary animals. But they look like they need you. I think
Maybe
don't
they're
know.
solitary animals because they don't know like how great cuddling is.
That's true. Well, they like cuddling with the trees, but when you rescue, there it is on the right. When they rescue from like a baby and they think that you are the tree, that's when it really, when people just have sloths like hanging from their neck. But you know what? That's not, exotic animal trade is not great.
They don't bite though, right?
They will bite. Absolutely. They have vampire teeth, but they go for you like this.
Slow. Oh yeah.
So
Very slow
slow. So it's going to
reflexes.
take 6 or 7 minutes for them to make contact. You can probably move out of the way.
Or throw a fist up and just meet him with an uppercut.
You're not really in that much danger.
So what did you do when you first walked in and see this sloth? Did you walk over and pet it? Did they say be careful? What did you do with it?
Both. Well, for a while I just cried on the bed, and then I think what happened was I got very, very nervous and my adrenaline started going crazy. I was like in my pajamas and I put deodorant on immediately because I was like,
Were
oh
you
my God,
pitting
I'm
out?
so yes, completely. I was like crying. I was having this there we go. I was having this panic attack, and because I was so excited. And then I went out and they give you this little stick and you can feed it like bananas and melon, and then you can touch its fur, which is like a Brillo pad. And then they just teach you all about the animal, and it like hung in our living room on this like makeshift habitat where it was hanging on like a ladder.
That's
Wow.
a pretty incredible gift.
That is what
It's
a
the
great
best.
gift.
Yeah.
I would have bought you a book on sloths.
Yeah.
Here, look at
No,
these great sloth
not
pictures.
Dak Shepard,
a
guys.
picture
Not
book.
Dak Shepard.
But that probably made you love him because you're like, wow, this guy really
That's the
understands
thing.
me.
What people don't understand about the sloth video is that yes, half of it. Here's where I'm going to get deodorant, but I cut this part out of the video. But basically, I was excited to meet the sloth, but I was also so overwhelmed that the man I love had gotten it to come to the house. First of all, found a sloth. Where do you even find one? And then taken out a wild animal insurance policy, which I found out later, which I thought was so funny.
It's a pretty incredible gesture.
It really is.
But it helps. Like I feel like he must have used some kind of Hollywood connections.
Yeah, well, he called an animal
Like
wrangler.
I wouldn't know how to do that.
Well, no, yeah, you would, because you would ask, like, hey, when you have a giraffe in a movie, who do you call? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but who would I
Toys
call and
R
ask
Us.
that?
Google.
Oh,
Always ask Google everything.
that's terrible.
My joke
The
bomb.
interweb. What was I doing here?
That wasn't even a joke. It was just a statement masked as a joke that came off as a boring statement, and it was correct.
When did you guys start going into couples therapy? Like early?
Yeah, very. Because we fought oh my God, we
So
fought so much when we first started dating.
It was because there was problems, but you were like,
Correct.
There's potential here.
Yeah, we weren't like perfect and then like, let's also go to, we're not like crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not Stepford wives, but we were fighting a lot because again, we disagree on everything, but there was such an intense attraction and there was also this trust despite the fact that we disagreed so much. And we were like, you know what? We don't do well in the gladiator ring that is our house. We need to go to have someone mediate this so that we can both be told when we need to take responsibility.
Who's normally the aggressor in the fight? Like, is it you usually picking him or him usually going, hey, you don't do this?
It's both. It's definitely both because we're big on personal responsibility in our family. Like you don't get away. You can't just like do anything without getting called out for it. Like if you're rude to someone, you apologize. We also make sure that we apologize in front of our kids because I think the problem with like raising kids now is that like people fight and then everyone goes to bed and the kids never see it. So if we do have any tension in the air, because it's not like we fight in front of our kids, but if there's any tension in the air the next morning, we always make sure we go like, hey, Daddy, I'm really sorry that I was snippy with you last night, so the kids see it.
So they see you apologize.
Yeah.
We went to couples therapy maybe like 2 years ago, and it was only a couple times because every time we would go and the therapist would side with me at all, my wife would get furious with her and act like she was being ganged up on. I was like, this isn't healthy. We can't go to therapy anymore. We have to figure something
can you
out.
find a different therapist
We just worked it out.
Well,
We're
that's
fine
good.
now.
Yeah.
I just realized this is going to be an in-house situation that needs to be worked out.
Everything works. I don't like fault anyone that doesn't go, but I'm just saying don't have a stigma about going if you feel like you need it. Because I look at it like you have a little toolbox when you're born and it gets a little bit bigger as you communicate with other humans. And if you want it to get really big and learn how to get along with everyone, you go to therapy.
When did you discover the film The Room?
She wistfully remembers. A long time ago, probably 15 years ago, when I was the first season of Veronica Mars. So 2004.
Are you at all involved in the Disaster Artist movie?
I am, yes.
Because that's what I was talking to Jim. I was like earlier this week, and I was reading all the articles from South by Southwest and everything. And I was like, I'm not even involved in the motion picture community, and this is the first time a film has come out that I'm bummed out that I'm not somehow involved in.
Yeah.
Just because it's incredible that it's even happening.
It's the best, and there's so many good real life stories from it. I mean, just it's an exceptional piece of celluloid.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and I've seen it, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 times now, and I'm so happy that it's going to get a bigger platform. I hope that the Disaster Artist will make people want to go back and watch
I've never seen it. I went online.
Oh my
I watched
God.
moments of it, and it's really entertaining. I see why people like it, but I've never seen the whole thing all the way through.
It is such an experience. If you took the 5 best filmmakers in the world right now, you know, like Steven Spielberg, Gus Van Sant, Dak Shepard, all the really good filmmakers, and said, do everything wrong in a movie.
Yeah.
Everything. Wouldn't even be in the same universe as this movie.
Wouldn't come close.
Nope.
You've seen it in theaters, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you
Midnight showing, yeah.
Yeah. I went to one with the Greg Sestero put on. And you got to do and then he does a reading from the original script, and the original script is even worse than the movie. Like the dialogue in the script is worse than the movie.
It's so special.
Yeah,
I've been at the midnight screening where Tommy took his shirt off.
I was about to ask you if you've met Tommy.
Yeah.
I had him up here.
You did?
I talked to him for an hour.
He's amazing.
He's incredible. He's incredible.
One problem I had with I saw a clip of the film. I saw a little clip where they're going to go up and make love in the beginning, really way too soon for
They're
a sex
always
scene.
like about to go up and make love.
Yeah.
But then the other weird kid comes in.
Denny.
Denny.
Okay, Denny.
And
Yeah.
the guy's laughing. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
we want to be alone. I was like, there was really inappropriate emotion.
And you can't figure out if this little kid, Danny. First of all, you can't figure out
I
if
didn't know who he
Danny's
was.
a little kid or if he's a teenager. You can't figure out if he's angling for a threesome.
And then he goes up and has this pillow fight on the bed with them. It's so like when aliens make movies about humans, this is what comes out.
Yes.
This is what's made. Oh, this is how humans interact.
Right. There's just a disconnect from the entire species.
Yes, correct.
That
It
you
was
could-
very weird.
It was. It
Oh,
was.
but it's so enjoyable.
It
I would
is.
like to see it all the way through. I just have not had the chance. I got to be honest. Some of the acting was a bit lackluster.
But that's what's so great about it because it's still sincere. It's just, oh God, I
It
can't
is
say enough
sincere.
good things.
You know what?
Yeah.
That, again, I'm going as someone who's seen little teeny clips. I almost didn't want to blow it. I was going to watch something and they said major spoilers. I'm like, no, I want to enjoy this beginning to end without really know. I don't know how it ends. You know, not that it matters, but
You don't know key plot points?
I mean, for fun, just to watch it.
You will have such a blast watching it, or just get stoned and watch it. It's so wonderful.
It really is great. Did you read the book before you did the movie?
No, I wish that I had. I have
Yeah.
2 toddlers. I don't have time to read books.
You gotta get a book on tape.
Yeah, like I could get a book on tape.
Greg Sestero does a very good book on tape.
Well, no, I'd rather see it and then read the book after. No,
Yeah.
definitely.
I always like to read the book after. That's just me. This way, I learn more about people instead of looking at the
But
movie.
the book is about the movie, so yeah, you want to know the movie first.
So when you first see The Room, did you get it immediately, or are you like, why is everybody watching this terrible movie?
No. I knew it because it was given to me by the creator of Veronica Mars, Rob Thomas, who I think had gotten it from Paul Rudd. But he handed it to me and he was like, "This is a gift." And I was like, okay. And I trust him implicitly, and I put it in, and I've never been the same.
You know, as I was telling Jim earlier, it was shot twice. You know, it was shot
on digital and on film.
on film.
It's the best.
And so Tommy's in here, and he gave me a copy of The Room on Blu-ray, and I was like, Tommy, because it's shot on HD and on film, and all anybody's ever seen is the film. And I go, this is Blu-ray, so this must be the HD. And he goes, no, it's upgraded film. And I was like, you
doesn't
shot the
know.
thing on HD. Why wouldn't you use that? And he goes, well, this is better.
He
I said,
doesn't
that's
know.
it. That makes
He
sense,
doesn't
Tommy.
know.
Maybe the HD had some color correction problems or whatever.
I don't think he's ever even seen the footage.
It's very special.
I heard they overspent on that film a little bit.
like
was
by $8 million or something.
it was not the best budget
No.
management.
No, probably not the best budget management.
You know what is a really good film? Chips,
What's that?
directed by my husband.
Oh,
Chips.
I didn't know he directed it. I know
Yeah,
you guys
he
were in
wrote it
together.
and directed it.
Now, did he get the gig first and then say he wanted you in it, or how did you both wind up in it?
I was sleeping with the writer and the director, so I kind of had to have
At
a part
the
in
same
it.
time.
I had just a voracious appetite. But I said, "Can I be in it?" while he was writing it, and then he said, "Yeah." Then he wrote it. Then he sat me down and said, "I'm really hesitating on casting you," and this was dead serious. So I was like, "Oh my God!" I felt like I was gonna cry. And he said, "You're just too likable, and I can't have Karen be likable at all. So you really, 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 really need to be unlikable and a bitch. Just be like vapid and like no one wants to be around you." And I was like, I can do that. And then he actually had me read the sides with him. Can you believe that?
Your
Wow.
husband
I
made
auditioned
you.
for
Do you know
my
how much better that makes me feel?
Yeah.
That I've never just gotten a movie handed to me.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it. Nobody's discovered in an airport, and no, that doesn't happen. Those are all myths.
I know. I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, he was a soda jerk.
Huge people still audition. Like
I know.
I audition for everything.
I was at an audition once, and obviously it was a Luc Besson movie. I did not get the part, but I saw Dominic Chianese was in there reading for obviously a different part, and Joe, how do you say Pantoliano? I never know how to say his name. Joe
Pantoliano,
Pantoliano.
yeah, Joey Pants.
He was in there reading for. And I'm like,
Yeah.
if these guys still have to go out and read for
Everybody
shit.
reads.
Dude, William H. Macy was in here complaining about reading and auditioning
There's
for
like
stuff.
7 people who don't audition. It's like Tom Cruise, and the other ones I think.
Tom
are
Hanks,
Cruise.
another Tom.
Tom Hanks, he does it. The
Awful
Toms
only.
do not have to audition.
But I heard for Woody Allen, everybody reads, and you all make scale. Like with Woody, it's like if you want to work
Yeah.
with Woody, you do this. If you don't, you don't.
That's
He's
how
okay.
Disney is as well.
What do you mean with Disney?
Everybody reads and everybody makes scale.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has to go through an audition with Disney. Even Tom Cruise would have to read? Huh.
I would say yeah. I mean, listen. Well, here's the other perspective, and how I look at it from my husband's point of view. You are the director. It doesn't matter if this person has a body of work that you've seen. You want to know that they're going to fit seamlessly into your vision. You want to know that they're going to give you and be moldable the way that you need them to. So I actually don't have a problem auditioning for things because I think the director deserves that. Like the writer deserves to have their words said and not have me pitter patter around all of them and not learn them correctly. Like you have that position, you deserve to see it.
But you're not making scale for the sequel to Frozen, are you? I mean,
I certainly hope not.
yeah, because that's kind of a proven thing.
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to audition again.
No, I think I do have the part at this point.
You've got it.
That's kind of nice.
When you do something like Frozen
Yeah.
and it's so successful, do you go like, this live action stuff is for the birds? I
Yeah.
could just go and
In my jammy jams.
and voice this
Yeah.
over, and it's like every kid in America loves me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't like my goal wasn't to get all the kids to love me, but it's not terrible. But I did always want to be a Disney princess, and it just sort of weirdly fell into my lap. I had auditioned for Rapunzel and not gotten it, and then they called me back in and said, "We want to talk to you about this other movie." And so it was just, it was out of the rejection blossomed Frozen.
That's
Right.
great. And this is obviously a much bigger film than Rapunzel. Who's talking about
Rapunzel
that?
was pretty big.
I
Maybe,
never heard of it.
You're just
Rapunzel was great. You didn't see it?
No,
Tangled?
I've been busy.
Ay, jeez. It's
know.
cute. It's really good, actually.
I do love though that to compliment Frozen, you had to just trash Rapunzel.
I wasn't
Yeah.
trashing it. I was only saying that Frozen was a massive film.
Have you seen either?
What's that? No, I'm busy. I'm a
Oh,
tap dancer.
jeez, Louis.
Yes, I'm from the Gregory Hines School of Entertainment. And you're promoting Chips,
Yeah.
which is in theaters this Friday, starring yourself. And Michael Pena, I love. He's one of my favorite films.
Oh, he's the best.
Big
He's
Crash,
great.
big
Yeah, yeah,
Crash
yeah.
fan. If you don't like Crash out there, you're a dope. Michael Pena was in that. He played the guy who fixed doors, whatever he was, the repairman.
Yeah, yeah.
He was so.
And
the
he's been in
locksmith.
everything. He was like in Ant-Man this year and in Collateral Beauty. Like Michael Pena has a part in everything. He's in A Wrinkle in Time.
Do your kids watch Frozen?
So rarely, but sometimes, yeah.
Do they know it's you?
Yes.
Okay, so they from your voice.
Yes, but they don't care.
They don't.
You are made to reject everything your parents do. That's
Yes.
in our DNA. Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah,
when
my
I
dad
try
went
to
for the-
sing at home, they shut me down right quick.
Are you a good singer?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a passable singer, yeah.
Did you ever want to sing professionally? I mean, I don't know.
Well, Frozen's a musical.
No, I know that, but sometimes
I
people.
Kids love those songs.
I wanted to sing within the context of performing. Like I never wanted to have an album or anything.
Okay.
No. I don't have the drive to like write my own music, but I wanted to sing as an actor. Yeah.
I wish I could sing. That seems like such a fun thing to do.
It
You
is
can
really
sing.
fun.
Don't put yourself down.
All right, Sam always talks me up. I don't know what to do. And it is in theaters Friday. It's so weird that you worked with your husband. Was there any fights on the set
No.
between you and him, or you got along great?
No, I married him because I enjoy spending time with him and I trust him, and that's what I want in someone at work.
It is, right?
Yeah.
So what, have you had directors yell at you? And I'm sure you have.
Not yell at
Really?
me. I don't really do anything that would warrant getting yelled at.
Yeah, if you're getting.
Well, sometimes it might not even be you're doing something wrong. It might just be they
Yeah,
react
but then
improperly.
they just say like, "Hey, whatever you're doing is not working," and I try not to have any ego involved, and I go like, "Oh, okay," because it's not about what I think is working for the part. There is a set of eyes that's watching this cohesive vision of the entire movie. So if they're telling me that I'm not fitting in, it's my job to be a chameleon and fit in.
And you've been able to. We have to wrap up, but they're telling us. But you've been able to kind of like mold yourself and go okay, and then just
Yeah,
adjust for
that's
it.
literally my job is
Right.
to take direction. That's
Okay.
that's literally my job.
Well, you're fantastic. I mean, I almost said awesome, and I said fantastic. That sounds cooler and more adult. Chips is in theaters this Friday. Kristen Bell, and of course on Twitter, I am not the words, the letters. The letters. I am Kristen Bell.
Yes.
Is your official Twitter.
That's it.
This is amazing though. You've got this movie coming out.
Yeah.
You're part of the Frozen franchise.
Yeah.
The Good Place got picked up.
Yeah,
again
we start
for-
in a couple weeks. And
Which
then,
I feel like the end of the last season, it was kind of like this
Crazy,
thing,
right?
but it could have also been the last episode.
correct.
But now it's this whole
And
other
it's
thing.
going to get even crazier.
They found out heaven was hell.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
we did. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody about hell, and they said we're already in it.
Yeah.
That's so badass.
They're quoting The Good Place.
All right, we're gonna break real quick, and thank you for coming. I wish you had more time. You're
Thanks, guys.
fantastic, and
Yes.
we'll be right back. Don't leave.
Yeah, she was. She had a
For some
crush on
reason-
me.
What's that?
She had a crush on me.
Yeah, I thought so too, actually. I'm sending this to Trav Dog. Maybe we should. I just thought of it, and it's so stupid.
Obvious to everybody, right?
Would she get a crush on you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. She's beautiful. Like, I mean, I knew she was beautiful, but like,
Yeah.
sitting there talking to her, you're like, fuck, she's stunning in person.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the type of girl I got to marry. Beautiful, really talented, the polar opposite of me. Oh, shit.
And I saw her husband outside. Dax is around. They're smart.
He's here?
Yeah, they just split up shows. Like they're not doing the same shows.
Okay.
So they both came in, and one of them did these 3 shows, and the other one did those 3 shows. He's also a beautiful man.
Yeah, I'd rather talk to her.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
What else has that shepherd been in?
Why did you say it like that?
I like lisping.
He was on the NBC show Parenthood.
Oh, cool.
I watched that.
Okay.
The coach was on it.
That's your business.
Yeah.
That's your business.
He died at the end. That was the big finale.
Did you get my emails, Travis?
Yeah, I did. I gotta convert it first.
Do you watch This Is Us?
No.
I watched that
It's on
show.
NBC.
Yeah.
It's good, right?
Yeah. I mean, it has its moments, but they're really stretching some of these plots.
Oh, wow.
Like I think it's one of those things where they realize, like, I don't think that they planned on the show being as successful as it was. So once they realized they were going to have to plan for a whole bunch more episodes,
Oh, I
they were
see.
like, let's wait a while before we start giving everything away. Let's stretch
Okay.
out some of these things a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, This Is Us. I remember you said that. Sam and I went to see Philadelphia together. He pointed at the screen. Get it?
There's another TV show coming out called This Is a Stretch.
I remember.
Yeah.
It happens. We all stretch once in a while.
So are you, yeah. But you're all stretched out.
I bet I am. Not in that place. Back there, I'm snug.
What? I wasn't talking about your asshole.
All right, I thought you
I was
were.
making reference to you stretching for jokes a lot.
Oh, I thought you were talking
I
about
wasn't
my.
saying you get anally penetrated a lot. Why would you
No,
go there?
because you said something that made it look like
I said
there's
you're
more.
all stretched out, and you were like, he
Who
must be
would- who
talking
wouldn't
about
think
my
that?
asshole.
What would you think if someone said you're
Did
all
you think I was
stretched
talking
out?
about his asshole, Adrian? Honestly.
I mean, that was my thought. But
Of course it was. What you were praying for? What was your hope? Your dream?
Hope there's room for me in
Of
there.
course. Hope there's room for my fingers. Scrape it in there. Pull out a little treat under my nail.
Just like Mama used to make. Oh,
Do we have anybody in tomorrow? We have.
Yep. Nikki Lager's coming in tomorrow.
And we may have.
Maybe some other people.
Yeah. Okay. A couple
I'm gonna
more.
Reach out. I will say, I found myself part of this hype train. I was looking online yesterday, and I said, I didn't upgrade when everybody else did. Maybe I should get that red iPhone. It's the exact same iPhone, only red.
It's kind of cool that they're putting out a different company. They're not stupid.
Well, it's like AIDS Red, like it contributes to, it's the Project Red thing, where it contributes to AIDS, or probably
Yeah, I don't think
contributes.
yeah.
Yeah, they're like, we're putting money to make sure that AIDS keeps going.
When is it coming out?
Friday.
Oh, okay. Just a new red.
Are you guys going to be jealous when I have the AIDS iPhone?
Are you getting the red one, Travis?
No.
Your wife wants it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna get it for her?
No.
If you were a good husband, you would buy it for her. I mean,
already bought her one.
Kristen Bell got a sloth. You can't get her a red iPhone?
No. I got her
No.
a stupid jet black one. Like, she wanted jet black.
Red's
Yes.
better.
And then she put a case on it, and you can't even tell it's jet black.
Red's better. Red, yeah, the case is transparent, and red's better. I'll come in with the red, and you'll see. You should buy it for
Nah,
her.
you should get a red one.
Definitely not doing
You got to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't upgrade
No.
because I thought I was going to get something other than an iPhone, but every phone is dog shit. So
They all are.
Yeah, they all suck. I never ended up getting that Google. What's that Google phone called?
Pixel.
I didn't get the Google
Ew.
Pixel. I was really going to, and then I didn't get it.
You have the audio, Travis?
it. Unfortunately.
Oh boy.
It's not. How long is it?
36 seconds.
It was just.
What is this audio that you want Travis to have?
I don't want him to have it
Then why'd you give it to him and check on it?
because you demanded it.
I didn't demand. I was talking about red iPhones, and you're just like looking at the monitor and being like, "Is it ready, Travis? Is
only
the
'cause
audio ready?"
Because we've been talking about Walking Dead, and like not like a lot of people are not liking where it's going.
I don't like it.
And yesterday, while watching it, somebody just thought of some fan fiction and how to get himself on The Walking Dead as a new character.
Who's he?
Craig.
Why would you need to give
Comment.
Travis the audio?
Well, we discussed it, and you said we should have it.
You are doing the voice.
I
You
know.
can just do the voice. You don't need to send Travis a voice note and have him do the thing.
Honestly, because I recorded it in a moment because I knew I was going to forget the name that Craig came up with for his character.
No, I don't need that.
Craig came up with a name of a character.
No, he didn't.
He did. What his character would be called, and I swear to God, I knew I would forget it It came, and I knew I would forget it. And I recorded it, and then like 5 minutes later, I forgot it. I'm like, what the fuck was that name? And I'm like, oh my God, I got to record it.
You know how before you even said it, you knew you would forget it?
Yep.
Before I hear it, I know that I'm going to wish I could forget it.
You will forget it, because I already do. I swear to you, I do not remember the character's name.
I really hope I forget it.
You ready?
No.
You know what I love about this clip, by the way? I haven't listened to it, but he titled it, and he spelled Craig's name the way Craig's name is spelled.
Craig.
Nope. Cregg. That's how you spell Craig.
That's so
But he
stupid.
specifically titles it that.
Nobody named Craig spells their name that way.
Schenkel.
Craig? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Craig is Craig.
Not him.
Oh, God.
All right. Here it is.
It's only a minute.
Hey, I'm Dickless Craig.
Oh, my God. Why he's doing the voice? You're just sitting there alone in your apartment. This is why I will never put up with you having the nerve to refer to these things as radio characters. Number one, because I have nothing to do with it, and I don't encourage it. And number two, you're sitting there alone. This is just the part that you happen to record. Is this the only time Craig
This is
pops?
after thinking about it and doing it.
Exactly, because he already has.
It just
the name.
popped up on us. I swear to you, I was just alone watching, and this just came. I'm like, this people will not be happy with this.
Is this the only time that Craig popped in yesterday?
I don't remember. Probably. Yeah. Very busy day yesterday.
But you don't remember is the thing. No. Meaning that there definitely could have been out loud Craig talking in your empty
Yeah,
apartment.
no, I was very busy. Very.
I'll bet you were busy.
Very busy.
Oh, so busy that you had to take time out of your day to do this.
I need a girl with a nice ass.
Just something, anything
My
that.
fucking face in.
I was about to say anything that will smother your face to stop this. I'm fully in support.
Well, you
of.
might like it. I cannot remember the character's name. I'm not even kidding. I can't fucking. I'm so happy I recorded it.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, I'm Dickless Craig Schenkel. I'm thinking of doing some fan fiction for The Walking Dead. Like, I'm going to play a king.
Hang on. Why did you introduce yourself into your own phone recorder? Hey, this is Craig Schenkel.
Sometimes you don't know how to start.
into your phone. Like,
Yeah, you don't know how
It's
to-
a voice note. You're not broadcasting.
But you don't know how to. Sometimes
Hey,
you
this
just
is
do
Craig
it.
Schenkel.
Yeah, you just do it. It's stupid. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Like, I'm going to play a king. Like King Jezebellukin. And King Jezebellukin kind of goes...
No.
Oh, wait, what?
No. Why? They have
I don't know. I
They
don't
have
know.
regular. They have Rick. Rick is one of the.
But that was
Carl.
that was gonna be his king character's name.
King Jezebellukin.
Yeah.
They don't have weird names.
I don't know what it's from. It just fucking popped in. It's 30 seconds. Just play it. I'm not even play the second one.
Negan. Perfectly normal name. It's obviously his last name.
Hearing this is humiliating.
Ezekiel is literally the weirdest name they've had on that show.
And that's that's a
And
name.
it's not even a weird name.
Jezebellukin is not a name.
Jezebellukin.
Jezebellukin doesn't
But I knew
exist.
I would forget
I don't know how you forgot it. I mean, it rolls right off the tongue.
Why would he name a character Jezebellukin?
I don't know.
This is so stupid and a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Especially yours.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to play a king. Like King Jezebellukin. And King Jezebellukin kind of goes around and saves people. And teaches like the saviors through hip-hop lessons.
No. First of all, how can your mic technique...
I don't know how it's so bad. I didn't realize. I apologize. It's popping.
How can Craig's mic technique be that bad on an iPhone?
Was he talking too close to it, you think?
Probably. I think he might have been.
All right, you don't have to finish it. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about? He doesn't have to finish it.
It's humiliating.
You just said King Jezebellukin is going to teach people hip-hop lessons, and that's how he's going to save them from zombies?
I don't know. Just how to get along.
Do you talk softly because you don't want other people to hear you in your apartment?
No, I don't know why I do any of it. Fucking, to be honest with you,
You
It
should be
seems good
embarrassed.
at the time.
It's not good.
It's not even embarrassed. I feel like now I know how Paige feels. I shoved a Jezebellukin in my asshole and people filmed it. Embarrassed.
There's Jezebellukin on the championship.
Oh no! Oh no! They're gonna film me fucking a Jezebellukin.
Oh, these kings.
I know.
The teachers like the saviors through hip hop lessons. Like I use historical hip hop lessons, like from KRS-One, L Cool J, like Run DMC, things like that. Like I could say like I'm the king of rock or something, use those old lessons from hip hop to teach. King Jezebel.
Why'd you repeat the name?
I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't listen to them once they're done.
You realize this is a huge mistake.
Fucking horrible ever.
King Jezebelukin goes around telling people he's the king of rock.
I don't get embarrassed very easily, as you know. I can admit most things in my life.
Yeah.
This is humiliating.
He looks embarrassed. Jim looks embarrassed
I
right
am
now.
humiliated.
Like not even like he's enjoying it embarrassed.
No,
like,
I'm not.
In hindsight, I shouldn't have said anything about this recording.
Yeah. I shouldn't have made it.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. The fact is, we were talking after the show yesterday, and we were talking about like creative things that the guys behind the scenes could be doing. And I was talking about
Production, stuff like that.
Production and things like
maybe
that.
that's why I did it. You know what? Some production for the show.
that's-
and I brought some production for the show.
That's not production. I was talking about one of the best things that Steve C. ever taught me when he was in charge of the show, which was...
Put this in your mouth.
That's not what he said.
Oh.
I already knew how to do that.
Oh, you did?
He didn't teach me that. No, but when I was fucking around all the time, he said, if you're going to invest that kind of energy, you need to invest it in something that's for on air.
Okay, cool. I'm glad
And I
I
was
did
like,
then. Thank you,
that's
Sammy.
great. And I started doing all that. You are not doing that.
I got production for the show.
That's not production.
Oh, it's not? Do we have another one?
Oh, that was 2?
Oh, yeah, there's another one.
Oh, I thought you just sent it to me twice.
No.
Oh, God.
No, there's not another one.
Oh, my God.
Why would there be a part 2? Part 1 doesn't even make any sense.
Because there's
King
other characters mentioned.
King Jezebelukin.
By Craig.
Hang on.
It's not even. That's like a Game of Thrones thing.
Why did you spell 2-T-O?
I was talking, talk texting. Talk texting doesn't know the difference between 2 and 2.
I've never talked text.
No?
But King Jezebel, like,
I know it stinks. I
it
agree.
doesn't even make any sense.
I know. It sucks.
It's not
It
a
fucking sucks.
It's not a royalty show.
But it's just a character idea because I think he stole it from Ezekiel, King Ezekiel.
You don't even know. You don't know where.
I hate King Ezekiel.
I hate King.
I liked him in the last episode. I know we talk a lot about Walking Dead.
I hate King Jezebelukin.
I heard that ratings are dropping for Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, because it sucks.
I'm just tired of Norman Reedus sulking.
Yeah, because the show sucks and Bar Rescue's on. So of course
This one's
ratings
twice
are-
as long.
What are you doing?
No, it's less than a minute.
That one, the first one was 36 seconds. This one's 55.
But that's 19 seconds. It's not double.
That's almost twice as long. It's not.
Sequel's always better, right?
Oh.
All right, give me a minute. It's coming.
Ew. Is there anything funny in high school and someone says, I'm coming? Ew.
Travis is looking at his wiener. He's going, give me a second. It's coming. Because he likes King Jezebelukin so much. There's Jezebelukin in Travis's pants.
Yeah, give me a minute. It's Jezebelukin.
Oh, what a waste of everyone's
All right,
time.
dude, I don't even disagree. And I'm not even ironically, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
But like the biggest
I didn't care for the attitude from this program, though, so I felt that in part 2 I wouldn't even have mentioned.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the attitude of the staff right now.
Well, the staff-
So it's going to be coming out.
The staff is concerned about you because
No, they're not.
the biggest waste of time is your time. That's wasted.
I'm showing the staff how fast you make production for the radio program.
That's not production.
Sure it is.
That's stupid Craig Schenkel talking about hip hop lessons and making up a name that makes no sense.
King Jezebelukin is going to be a tremendous hit.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh, it's so bad.
King Jezebelukin is going to be very popular.
How do you spell that?
I have never written it out.
I would think
Probably Jezeb.
Z.
ZZEB.
Two
Isabel.
Zs?
ELUUKYN.
Oh my God, that's infuriating. Just think, like I just pictured the letters in my mind.
Yeah.
Luke and the KYN and the 2 Z's. What an asshole!
You spell his name.
It makes no sense.
Craig's the worst.
You
They
like
don't
him?
have. They don't have weird names. It's not a show with a bunch of kings and queens on it.
I just
like,
figured-
it's just
yeah.
terrible. It's just Terrible. It would have made slightly more sense if it were Game of Thrones or even the Crown or something.
I just watching this King Ezekiel approach. It's like, shut up.
It's no worse than King Jezebelukin.
King Jezebelukin rules.
Guess what? You don't get to criticize any more characters.
That dumb tiger, that CGI tiger.
It really looks fake.
What does
it?
Craig's King have? Or do I not want to ruin?
I don't think it mentions it, to be honest with you.
Well, it's ready.
All right.
You wanna hear it?
Of course, King Jezebelukin
We're almost done.
has a b-boy on a chain. You ready?
Yes, sir.
I think I could lead as King Jezebelukin. I could lead a lot of people. And I could kind of like lead like the garbage people. And they could say like, Craig, lead Jezebelukin King. And I could lead
Wait.
Because the garbage people talk in two syllables. I fucking hate them.
Didn't they say Craig?
At first.
Why would they call you Craig?
I think he just kind of was improving.
Your name is... That would be the actor's name, though.
I know. I don't know why.
That would be like if they were like, oh, we got Daryl out. Hey, Norman, come here.
Yeah, it was stupid. That's why I said Jezebelukin King.
Right.
Stinks.
It's just a play.
I hate that. But this is not worse than the garbage people.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's significantly worse than the garbage people.
No, it's not.
It's worse than anything on TV.
No, it's not.
Craig's the worst.
Craig is the worst.
It's the garbage people are the worst.
No, you can't take yourself out of
Guns,
this.
more.
Don't care. Jezebelukin's worse. Go on.
Jezebelukin King. And I could lead them around. We could go to the Saviors. I could say, it's like the old, like
Are you eating
West
the
Coast,
phone?
East Coast hip hop rivalry. Things like that, like with Biggie Small and with Tupac Shakur. I could say that's what this is turning into. It's an East Coast, West Coast vibe. And nobody really won that war. And what happened is like Ice Cube went on just to do movies and films and television. And they could probably say
Ice Cube?
It's just boring.
It's boring. Stop it.
Pop lessons. And the garbage people.
Ice
could
Cube
say,
wasn't part of the war.
I don't know.
East Coast, West Coast war? That was after Ice Cube.
I still got 10 seconds.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
It makes no sense. What are you talking about, Ice Cube?
Shit. It's shit.
I love how down on it you are.
Of course I am.
You're so disgusted with yourself.
Oh, beyond measure.
You went from here's what happened. What was it? 1 week ago, your Netflix special came out, and it was like one of the greatest things that you've done creatively.
It might be, and the fans have been amazing.
A week later, this is what you come up with.
My follow-up.
This is your next recording. King Jezebelukin.
It's not good.
You're just so terrible.
Yeah. I know.
Let's hear that closing 10.
And they could probably say, King Jezebelukin, you're right. Just you've taught us through some hip hop lessons. And then the garbage people could say like guns, put down. And then I could pet like Ezekiel's tiger and just kind of like have a whole cool storyline.
This is like stuff like a 6-year-old does.
No, it ain't.
Yeah, this is like a like
sick of being me.
like a Are you sick of being you?
Oh, you've no idea.
Why is that?
There is
You suck.
still 4 hours left
What a fucker he is
on
in
the
there. Huh?
radio show. You can talk
Oh my God.
for 2 more hours. Epiphans!
I wish you all could see the look of utter shame and self-disapproval that is on Jim Norton's face right now.
You have moments of clarity in life.
And what a fucker Tough Dog is, huh?
This was an audio mirror. I just walked by.
Yeah, I mean, this is terrible. Your life is in a bad place. You're tired of being you?
I have no idea.
So knock this nonsense off.
Can't.
You can't.
What are the other options?
You gotta meet somebody. You gotta meet a girl.
Maybe.
You gotta have somebody you can spend your time with, because you're not an alone guy.
If you want to,
You're just not good alone.
if you want to see me live, come to the Borgata August 5th. That's the only thing I feel good about is my material now.
You don't feel good. What about the radio show?
Yeah, actually I do. Yeah, I mean, creatively I feel okay. Like I like the radio show a lot.
How about on a
like the
personal
special.
level, like your personal life?
Utter garbage. Garbage.
You think so?
Utter garbage.
Oh, I want to talk to you about this tomorrow. We're out of time.
That's fun. It was a fun show today. I love Taylor and I loved Kristen Bell was enjoyable.
That's a good tease, though. Tune in tomorrow, where we'll see if we can completely break down Jim Norton's psyche.
No, that's not interesting. No one cares. They know me for 15 years. They're done with me.
Dude, this is you spinning is as entertaining as it gets. That's what people care about.
All right, well, by tomorrow I'm going to be all put together, ready to go.
Just a balloon.
Oh, I hope you think of it all day.
Just a balloon.
No, it's just a balloon.
Just a balloon.
You don't like it?
Just a balloon.
Hate it.
I hope you think of it all day.
Hate it.
Hope you're holding your son and he cries and you go, just a balloon. And he stops.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.